Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul.
Welcome to the AfterMat, your source for WWE pay-per-view recaps. I am your host, the People's Champ Cal, and alongside me, as always, I have my tag team partner, Delisha. What's going on, Delisha?
Hey guys, welcome to Quarantine and Chill, Wrestlemania edition.
Yeah, this
Phrasing.
and speaking of WrestleMania edition, it wouldn't be WrestleMania without The Undertaker, who makes his appearance mostly only at WrestleMania. Therefore, we have the return of a person who makes his, appearance every WrestleMania from now on, the Road Raider himself, and Cat, Tom Zambino. Oh, and he's got his Undertaker hat on. There you go. Welcome, Tom. How are you doing?
I had to do my my best impression by putting the hat on, and I scared the hell out of my cat here by dropping a Batman thing. So, either way, hats on now. Hats on.
And welcome to Big Time Gaming and Arrington. How are you guys? I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, we're here in what seems to be the norm nowadays, right? People doing their shows via video conferencing, right? I guess with Zoom and all those companies. I guess they're not our sponsors, but we're not using either. So, but this is how life is nowadays. I guess I hope you guys are holding up well during these times. I don't know. I think, Delisha, I know you're working from home. Tom, are you also working from home, or what are you doing with?
Yes, sir. I'm currently working from home, and literally only exercise and video chats are keeping me sane right now.
That is true. You did go ride your bike, though, right, the other day?
I've been riding my bike. I've been running. I take daily walks now. It's a lot of fun.
So do you just watch a lot of Ford versus Ferrari so you can support Ford, the company you work for?
Yes, because I totally still am in the auto industry. That is a thing that still exists. I
But
do
yes,
have Ford v Ferrari though, and
yeah, good
I've
movie.
seen it many times.
But that's not what we're here for. We're here for the granddaddy of them all, the showcase of immortals, or like we'd like to think, or as it always has been, WrestleMania 36. Now, if you guys don't know why it's, like, if you guys are new to this, you should know that WrestleMania is the biggest show for wrestling, probably of any wrestling promotion, I guess. It's this 36th annual episode or show this year.
You could tell by all the fans.
Yes, I was like I said. I tweeted out yesterday. I was waiting for the record announcement for how many fans were there, because they always blow it up somehow. It would be like a stadium of 20 people, and they'll say they have 400,000 people there. But I was waiting for that announcement, but it never happened. But yeah, as you guys know, what's going on in the world right now with the coronavirus, COVID-19. There can't be any gatherings of larger than 10 or 20 people, whatever it is. Welcome Entertained as well, and so we can't have audiences anymore, and that kind of, I never really understood how much an audience meant to wrestling till like being 23 million is what Big Time's saying. Till I saw what happened the rest of how did you guys feel, without giving away what you felt about the show? How have you guys been experiencing wrestling for the last few weeks? Because I know if you guys watch any other companies or if you've been watching Raw, NXT, how has your experience been watching with no audience?
It's been weird, but the certain ones have definitely done it better in some aspects of getting trying to get a good show on the road. Raw and SmackDown, not so much. They've been relying more on showcasing some more past matches, maybe to get the people on to the network a little bit more. Which that I didn't mind. It's just sometimes the placement of it was just awkward. But other than that, it's been good to see the company still trying to provide entertainment to the fans, but also still trying to make money, of course. But so it's been interesting. I guess I never realized how loud a bump is when there's no one around to cheer or boo or move. And so it's just been kind of almost like a learning experience to see how much interaction the fans bring and how much it is the wrestlers and the refs and how it all just comes together as like a well-oiled machine when the crowd is there versus when it's not there.
And Tom, I don't know, you haven't really been watching weekly wrestling, right, anymore. But so how did it feel for you going into WrestleMania seeing no audience there?
Hear all the things. It's so weird. That's why I think that like should have all been gimmick matches, like a few of the ones we're gonna talk about here. They should have just like all been ridiculous and stupid because this felt weird otherwise.
I mean, like, it was... Sorry, my dog's, like, going crazy. There's probably people walking now at nighttime. It's pretty nice outside today, so people are going for walks. Probably keeping their social distance as well, but they are going for walks outside. Someone's probably walking their dog about now, so my dog is going crazy.
He's just monitoring, make sure people are following the rules.
He's like, stay 6 feet apart. But yeah, I don't know, like, I feel like bumps were, louder and stuff. It just... I feel like a lot of it, people, they tried to show that they feed off the audience, but they like at one point in the tag match, I think Nikki Cross was like clapping her hands, saying like, trying to urge Alexa Bliss on, and she like looked around for the audience to do so, but like there was no audience, so it's kind of like second nature for her to do that, but you don't realize like, oh hey, there's no audience. So a lot of it, kind of the reactions of the wrestlers too, they usually feed off the audience, but you couldn't really get that give and take. It's like a symbiotic relationship that you don't really have at this moment. We'll talk about how we felt about the show overall at the end when we do our grades, but I was talking to you earlier saying like I think they did the best what they could have. Should they have postponed it? In my eyes, probably, but how does that work? Because right now there's a whole thing about Star Wars and all those Marvel movies being pushed back, and they can just knock, block by block, like, and they, for example, Black Widow is going to the November slot of Eternals is going to the next year's slot, kind of thing. How do you do that with wrestling when they have monthly pay-per-views that actually build a storyline? What would you guys say? Would you thought keep it like this, not knowing what we saw. Just if you had to make the decision prior to WrestleMania happening, would you have kept it or waited it out? I'll go to Tom first for this one. Tom.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I feel like this was really difficult because you already sold all those tickets and views, and you count on this like being. I feel like this might be like their fiscal year. The WrestleMania is like their barrier point with how they cut off their fiscal year between quarters, so that might have something to do with it. But man, I don't know how you delay it other than just like calling it something else and then moving it to like summer, replacing SummerSlam with WrestleMania and just like moving SummerSlam post summer. I don't know how you even do that, or like bump Survivor Series, because who really cares? But I don't know.
I mean, I agree. Maybe not have SummerSlam, but have WrestleMania there. But SummerSlam is a lot of rematches of WrestleMania, a lot, sort of. So you could have just had it there, I think. But Survivor Series is actually a big thing now, especially because for me, I thought Survivor Series was the best pay-per-view of the year, but you get to that, next week or 2 weeks from now when you have the AfterMat Awards. But in my opinion, I thought Survivor Series was one of the best matches. So in the past, I would agree with you. Who cares about Survivor Series? But nowadays, now they're doing the champion versus champion, and now they're adding NXT into it. I think it makes a lot more dynamic pay-per-view. So it's kind of important now. As much as SummerSlam is supposedly their second biggest show of the year, when it comes to just matches, not gimmick matches, as Royal Rumble being a gimmick. Are we there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I lost you guys, though. Are you guys there?
Yeah.
Okay, it's loading you guys back up. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I don't know. What about you, Delisha? How do you feel about it?
That's pretty much how I felt. Like if we had to move it, I would have. Like I was earlier, I was jokingly calling this WrestleMania before I watched it a 2-part WWE Network special, because I feel like there is no WrestleMania without the audience being there and being on that legit big grand stage. So like I said, like you guys were saying earlier, I would have maybe pushed it back, the actual name, and like I guess the actual name and show of WrestleMania. We could probably still have done the same storylines for this past weekend, and then build up to a different set of storylines for a WrestleMania that we could all get behind. And like since SummerSlam kind of is almost a rehash of WrestleMania matches, I guess you could put it in that slot, or just take out one of the lesser pay-per-views that no one cares about, because that can easily be. I mean, almost a Dragon Race, but that's not even there anymore. Yeah, I don't know what I've forgotten all names of pay-per-views for some reason, but yeah, to take out maybe one of the lesser, maybe B or C shows, so people could still have their so the fans could have their WrestleMania moment, like sitting there, being there, and getting that grand hoo-ha of shows. And it might even generate even more income for them, because you kind of get almost like a second WrestleMania, but this time you're just there in person.
Right. So I feel like Tampa Bay might be older WrestleMania, right? We might have one coming up in 2 years as opposed to next year being Hollywood, and all that.
Oh, that's another factor. Tampa Bay already paid for WrestleMania this year, and I assume they have arenas booked for the other pay-per-views. Tampa wouldn't exactly be happy if they just moved WrestleMania to another location, and if they're not available at any of the times that WWE wants, that there could be scheduling conflicts. A lot of events are going to have to get rescheduled, so I guess it kind of makes sense to just cancel it altogether.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, but I'm saying maybe in 2 years from now. So now we know next year is going to be Hollywood, right? It's 2 years. Give Tampa Bay their WrestleMania back that they've lost.
Makes sense. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I feel like could happen. We can't do it down the line because, that's it. WrestleMania is said and done. But the audience is what missed out. The city, the town, the whole atmosphere. You guys had to know, if you've ever been to WrestleMania or any WWE event, you know how it's like for the big four, at least, it's a weekend thing, right? It's like a whole week thing, actually, nowadays, where, like, they have the, meet and greets from Sunday to Sunday kind of thing. So, or maybe, I don't know how the week works for them now, because now that they have, like, Raw and SmackDown on Friday. I don't know how they do it with NXT on Wednesday. Who knows how they do it now? But you know what I mean. It's like a week-long to 2 week-long thing. And Tampa Bay lost out on that, right? So I think maybe in 2 years' time, not next year, but 2 years' time, or 3 years' time, because I think they do plan 2 years ahead. So I think the one after Hollywood's already planned. So I'm guessing 3 years from now, it might be in the cards for Tampa Bay to get it back. We'll see.
Sure.
All right, but we've talked a lot about what's been going on in the world and such like that. So I guess we should get into the matches because that's what people are here for. So the first match opening. Oh yeah. Oh, before another thing. Welcome to our stage as well. One thing we forgot to mention is that WrestleMania occurred over 2 nights. So that's something that hasn't happened before either. Over 2 nights. So we had 9 matches one night, 9 matches the next night. 8 and 1 pre-show. Could they have done that? It's all in one night? I don't think so. I think they threw in extra matches just because. But had it not been like that, I think it might have been 16 to 17 matches in one day otherwise. But yeah, first pre-show match of night 1 featured Drew Gulak against Cesaro, and I think Alicia's covering this one.
Right. Yeah, I almost missed it because I forgot that there was going to be a pre-show. Because in my mind, I don't know, pre-show is for like legit live events. So I was like, oh, okay, we still got time. It's about an hour. And Joe was like, pre-show started. Ew, right. So we got a Cesaro versus Drew Gulak on the kickoff show. For those who are not watching SmackDown, you too. Drew Gulak is now like hanging around with Daniel Bryan after they had their match a few weeks ago. I think maybe at the last pay-per-view against each other. And they were so impressed with each other that now they're like running buddies. So I believe the stipulation was if Drew Gulak won, then Daniel Bryan would get his IC title match on WrestleMania. It was kind of short. On the shorter end as far as pre-show matches goes, or matches in general. I believe Drew Gulak started off strong going up against Cesaro. I think he like dove him off into the steel steps. And I don't know what kind of move this was, but he kind of was like Cesaro, that is, was like swinging Gulak around on his shoulders with no hands.
Airplane spin.
Yeah,
Or
airplane spin. Yeah.
Airplane spin. Which, I mean, I feel like at this point maybe we should be shocked at what Cesaro can do in the ring by now, but it was still pretty cool to see because I never seen anyone do that before. I mean, maybe some of you guys may have, but I never seen someone do that before. Anyway.
A lot of the older school wrestlers did moves like that.
Really?
I think Harley Race, when he was a lot younger, did that. I wasn't alive for when Harley Race wrestled when he was that young. I just seen video of it.
I'm about to say, man.
We know you're older than you look.
I oiled him up before his matches back then. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No worries. But it wound up being after that going to a slam by Cesaro to win the match. But I guess I think the stipulation about Daniel Bryan getting the match was, I think that was cut off. They just cut it completely because I remember them talking about it. Then that wound up not being the case because of course you see Daniel Bryan later on. But yeah, it was just a really short match, short, sweet, simple, just I guess to showcase those two guys' talents. And again, I think I tweeted, when you get these two people in the ring, you're not gonna get a bad work in the ring. So it was solid, short, solid.
Yeah, for me, like I wasn't really a fan of Drew Gulak, but I've been actually seeing some of the backstage snippets because they show the promo package and stuff, and he's been pretty cool. I didn't really know who he was until I went to Royal Rumble with you guys that weekend, and you guys told me who he was, being a native of your guys' area. So he's pretty entertaining to watch. Daniel Bryan, he's brought some life back to Daniel Bryan, where he's not so much as the whole yes thing kind of thing. Maybe that's the best part of not having audience, so I don't have to hear that yes chant. That's probably the best part about it. But yeah, I kind of like how they do the wrestling gimmick in the beginning, back kind of like what what's his name did back, Bob Backlund used to do with like the whole wrestler gimmick, like where like they do like the crawl before, and they do the shoulder thing before. Like I kind of like how they do that. That's cool to see, like showing like wrestlers, like Kurt Angle and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a good match. I always like seeing Cesaro, and it was fun. I think he also had a good uppercut with the when Gulak goes up in the air. the whatever you call it, rising uppercut that he did, the kind of like a Shoryuken from Street Fighter. That was kind of cool to see as well. Tom, you have any thoughts about this match? Or did you watch
Didn't
it?
watch it.
You didn't watch it? Okay, yeah. So yeah, this was it was a good match. I enjoyed it. So that was the end for the pre-show, and now we get to the first match to kick off WrestleMania officially, featuring your tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors, comprised of Asuka and Kairi Sane against Crisscross Applesauce, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Cross.
That's the actual name.
I think that's what it is. I don't know if that's the name of their tag team, but they say it a lot for them. So, Alexa started off the match against, I think,
Bliss Cross
Applesauce. So Darkseid is saying maybe WrestleMania 38 will be in Tampa. That's what he's hearing today. I think they always plan 2 WrestleManias ahead, so it might be 39, but who knows? Maybe then they might having extenuating circumstances. And I saw your thing that you said about Brock Lesnar. Darkseid, unfortunately, got to stick around until the end of the show to hear our take about Brock Lesnar, because there is some big news coming out about that as well that we'll get to when we discuss that match. So you're shooting the gun a lot of it, because we're only on the first match of the night. So we have 47 more matches to go. Anyway, this match started out with Alexa Bliss and Kairi Sane. A lot of banter back and forth, and Alexa doing her little cute girl gimmick, to which Kairi says kawaii to her. And I don't know if they told Alexa what that meant, or Alexa just knows. Do you guys know what kawaii means? No? Tom? Oh, we lost Tom.
Kawhi Leonard, that's all I know.
What? No, Kawhi Leonard, no. So kawaii means cute. So, like, she's always playing off that cute angle and such. But I don't know if they told her that ahead of time, or she knew, because it's kind of like a common thing that if you watch Japanese anime and stuff, which I think Alexa Bliss might do, knowing what kawaii means. So she knew that. She's like, kawaii, I'm cute. Like, she came back and said that at them. Basically, she did pretty well in the beginning until Asuka got back to the ring. Then they dominate Alexa like always until Nikki gets the hot tag, or Nikki gets a tag, and then she comes in. It takes a brunt of beating for like the majority of the match. This always happens in every Alexa Nikki cross match. And then she made another hot tag to Alexa later on. Nikki did, because after getting beaten up for a while. And Alexa came back in. She also had a Twisted Bliss earlier while there was a pin going on, I think. And but it didn't count, like, because she wasn't a legal person. Finally, I think Asuka was taken out of the ring. Kairi was in the middle of the ring. Alexa hit a Twisted Bliss and got the 1-2-3 to win. And then we have new tag team champions and the first ever 2-time women champions, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, which is pretty good, because I know people were tweeting about this, and they tweeted at me as well. Sidewalk Closed, to mention, one person tweeted at me asking, is this, now that Asuka and the Kabuki, not the Kabuki Warriors have dropped the titles, will Asuka be free to do her singles career? And I think she will. And I think Kairi will also, because they're both really good as single competitors. They did a good job together. I love having them on the mic, speaking only Japanese. That was cool, like a throwback to old school heels and such. So I really enjoyed that. But I love seeing Asuka, and I want to see Kairi do, like, get her like time in the sun, time in the rising sun. But yeah, are they gonna put Asuka solo? Yeah, I think they will, and I think they will with Kairi too. Maybe they might have one more rematch or something like that. But I think they're gonna kind of break them up for them. Because Asuka is really a monster, and she deserves to be a monster. And now with all these different, the 3 different, like, I guess, marquee people as the women's champions in each division. We'll talk about, one of them later on, but I guess all of them later on. There's 3 marquee names covering all the women's singles titles. So there's plenty of people who can go after, one of them being Asuka, another being Kairi, and such. So, your guys' thoughts about this match?
Yeah, I thought it was solid. It was probably the right booking decision, because they really weren't doing anything with Asuka and Kairi Sane, which I think that seems to be the trend of their title run. Actually, it seems to be the trend of this whole women's tag team title run. To where it's like they don't do anything till they remember that they have these titles and they have to be defended at some point, and then like, oh right, we gotta quickly put together a storyline of match for their next opponent. So because I don't think you can even name two more women's tag teams right now, as you probably could have at the beginning of the.
I'm sure Tom and I could name one of them. Tom, do you remember one that sticks out in your head?
That are active right
Do
now.
Bailey and Sasha count?
No.
Also, got to stretch up.
All right, sorry,
I
Bruce, go
meant
ahead.
active right now because we don't even know
Hey.
who the icons are.
They're active on social media.
Yeah, they're active
Oh,
on TikTok.
True. I haven't downloaded that thing.
Neither have I. I'm just saying it
Instagram.
comes up on your Twitter. Yeah, it comes up on your Instagram and Twitter. Like, you can't escape TikTok somehow. I don't know. If you can, let me know.
But yeah, match was solid. And the right people won. And as I said, I think every time the tag team titles are on the line, just hope they do something with them.
And like you were saying, they weren't really doing anything with Kyrie and Asuka on the same account. They haven't really been doing anything with Nikki and Alexa. They haven't really been on TV as much. Alexa's been doing her show, A Moment of Bliss, but not really much with them either. So I guess now this will keep them in the limelight and the tag team together until they eventually break up. Because that's kind of I've been saying that forever, but they haven't been broken up yet. So it's eventually going to happen. I think Nikki should go crazy on Alexa because everyone thinks Alexa's going to turn on Nikki. I think, like I've been saying, Nikki's got to be the one that turns on Alexa. But Asuka and them separate would be good. Tom, any thoughts about this match or the future of where any of this is going?
I feel like much like some superstars we'll be talking about later, they really missed the boat on breaking up Alexa and Nikki. So they'll probably keep them together for a while, if anything, just to protect the fact that Alexa Bliss is constantly injured. So having her work a hell of a lot less is probably really good for business. So they'll probably keep that running as long as possible. As for the match, it was perfectly fine. This was like the first one I ended up watching. I sped through like the middle bits because, like you said, when Nikki was getting beat up, I don't care. I don't feel like watching that anymore, so I had to awkwardly fast forward through it. But we got to the end. The Twisted Bliss is a cool move, so that was it was perfectly fine. It was just the first time I've seen a non-audience match, and it was weird.
Yeah, another thing to add to that is that if you're saying like she's always, I know she's always injured, but like why put the championship on them, right? They could have just written her off TV for a while,
Well,
especially while this is going on. This would have been perfect time to do it.
that's the whole point of having Bliss as part of a tag team. Like Sheamus was seriously injured for like
Yeah.
3 years, but he was perfectly fine and working well as a tag team. So it's a way to protect often
Then
injured
and keep her on TV so that
superstars.
she's relevant. Yeah.
Right.
And the fans love her, so. Well, they should have asked me first.
Yeah, since Alexa kind of threw shade at Asuka and Kari for not defending it on all brands like they were initially supposed to do, I wonder. I know, even though I know that he's famously good for ignoring stuff that they've written previously. I do wonder if maybe we will start to see them a little bit more. At least maybe like on an NXT, I feel like that's more interchangeable between the brands. So maybe we'll get to see them pop up. Like it doesn't even have to be for the belt. It's just seeing them like do like maybe some exhibition matches either like on Raw or NXT, just to, like showcase to move that title around to make it still feel like it's worth something.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I'd like to see that on NXT. Maybe not, like you said, maybe not defend it, but just have them there. Yeah. All right. And as we always know, there's people. The first match is usually a title change, always in WrestleMania. It seems like. All right. This brings us to the next match, which is the return of Elias after a severe injury on SmackDown against King Corbin, which is Tom's covering this match.
Injury? Fill me in on that one.
Oh, so I actually saw this because I had nothing else to do. Corbin threw Elias off the riser. They have like a riser up high where the announcers usually talk, or like one announcer talks, like when they have like those like segments where it's like Charlie Caruso interviewing somebody. They're up on top. So Elias,
Gronk was for
where Gronk was for WrestleMania, basically, yeah. And Titus O'Neil later was there for WrestleMania for that. But Corbin threw Elias off of that. Like he threw him off of that. then like the camera cuts to Elias. So he probably landed on a crash pad, but when the camera cut to him down, he was on a complete cement ground. So he wasn't
Remember that scene in The Lion King where Scars is drop Mufasa off the cliff? It was just like that.
It was just like that, yeah. Except there was no stampede of water buffalo
That we saw.
That's a
But
Should've
also that's why the match started out with Corbin saying, "Oh, he's not going to show up. Just ring the bell. Give me the victory."
Thank you for starting that off. But yeah, this was a short and sweet match. Elias is one of those guys that I'm not sure works as well without the audience because he really plays off the audience exceptionally well. So does Corbin, actually. These guys both suffer majorly not having an audience. They're reliant a lot on either heel or face work, just getting those reactions. So that's super awkward. I'm pretty sure they just wanted to wrap this up as quickly as possible, just like my recap. There was the dreaded roll-up. Elias won, and we all go home.
But we don't. We're staying home. Like, but yeah. So like, yeah, I agree with you. I'm glad you said that because both of them really do feed off. Like the whole Elias's whole entrance is him interacting with the crowd, right? Almost every time. 9 out of 10 times, it's him coming out with his guitar, interacting with the audience. And Corbin feeds off the heat of the audience because they hate him so badly. Yeah, so that was huge. At this, this is probably where you first really saw how much it suffered for not having an audience. And it was a lot, like you said, it was roll up, so it's very lackluster match and finish. So like, I feel like this is like a theme that we had through the night. And like that's something you normally wouldn't see on a WrestleMania. That many on any pay-per-view, even on a Raw. I don't think you see this many. I mean, I guess you wouldn't also have 18 matches, but you wouldn't see this many segments that are that lackluster as we saw this past WrestleMania, especially on a WrestleMania. So could that have been also because a lot of it, well, all of it was pre-recorded, without an audience and stuff. So also the I think the commentators too, they're kind of like in awe, not knowing what to do, because I've noticed a drop in the commentating as well because during this no audience thing as well, because it just prolongs silence I hear during commentary as well. To which Jericho even tweeted about it, saying like, "Oh, no knock on the commentators, but I've been watching all WrestleMania on mute because it makes you not realize that there's no audience there. You actually just focus on the action. So that could be a thing to try if you want to try watching WrestleMania, see if you watch it on mute and see if it changes." Your thoughts on this, Delisha?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I didn't really care about this match when it was being set up and when it happened. So I was like, yeah. I mean, if we're going back to that padding in matches to make this a 2-night event, this was definitely one of them because this definitely could have been a match on SmackDown, honestly.
Not only that, if they were gonna have this match on the main on a WrestleMania card, I think this would have been a pre-show match as opposed to Drew. I think, like you said, the Liv Morgan match from tomorrow and the pre-show from this past, or not from tomorrow, but the night after on night 2, and the match from night 1. I think those were matches that shouldn't even been on the card that were made pre-show.
Well, you know what? This probably would have been what it is at this moment. It's just a buffer match between one of the title matches. So I guess in a way it kind of fits.
Yeah. But it was too early then, like, or was there another title match after?
The next match is a title match. So
okay.
I mean, not the title match.
Yeah, but like we're going to the bathroom now. Is this during this match? That's what's happening. We're already home. We're wearing diapers now because we have no toilet paper. So, all right. So that brings us to the next match, which is Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler, and I think I'm covering this match, right? So, Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch defending against Shayna Baszler, the Queen of Spades, who completely demolished her competition at the Elimination Chamber to earn this match. She was the first ever competitor, superstar, to eliminate every single other competitor in the Elimination Chamber. She did it completely dominantly. There's not even a moment when she was in doubt, really. Even defeating Asuka, finally, the last person to beat. great promos throughout the way. The actual segment where she bit Becky was kind of crazy. I enjoyed that. Very, very gnarly. That was pretty cool. The match, though, Shayna pretty much dominated the entire time. There's some parts where you thought Becky was going to come back and reverse it into a disarm her and such like that. There were some sparks of flashes of attack by Becky, but mostly Shayna dominating. Shayna dominated the entire match. You thought she was going to win because she should win easily against Becky. There's no reason why she shouldn't beat Becky. But what happens is as Shayna goes for the Kira Field clutch, Becky kind of rolls back onto it and pins her shoulders and gets the win on a roll up, and Shayna's like stunned. I would have liked to see Shayna attack Becky after to draw more heat and maybe continue the feud. But it being WrestleMania, you'd probably think that Becky's showing off for the audience. But there is no audience. So why not have that happen? It was, I think, kind of like a callback to the Piper versus Bret Hart match. I forgot if it was a SummerSlam. It might have been a SummerSlam or an old WrestleMania. I'm pretty sure it was a SummerSlam, though. It was definitely a pay-per-view. Back in the day where Piper had Bret Hart in a sleeper hold, and he thought he was going to put him away, but Bret Hart used the turnbuckle. He climbed up the turnbuckle, flipped back, and landed on Piper, and then got the pin. I would have rather seen Becky do that than just it was kind of sloppy. But so was her finish last year against Ronda Rousey with that pin with Ronda's shoulders still being up kind of thing. So 2 WrestleManias in a row, Becky pulling off wins in a sloppy manner. But it kind of still made Shayna look strong. Was it as effective as I thought it would be? No. Should Shayna won? Yeah, probably. I think so. Your guys' thoughts? I'm going to go to Julie first this time.
Throughout the match, I really enjoyed it because it was that knockdown, drag out match that I thought it would be. And again, with my issue, was the ending. If we're gonna, I keep going back and forth on like booking lines and whether or not it made sense. Like, why to have Shayna be so dominant at the Elimination Chamber for her to be stupid enough to have both her shoulders on the mat in a reverse while I don't know. She's never been written to be stupid, so I don't feel like as a wrestler, you should know if your shoulders on the mat, you know you're going to be counted. So,
why not let go, right?
Yeah. So it just in that way, I didn't quite like the writing of that part. I am curious to see how they spin this to still make Baszler a threat. I guess you could just really kind of call it you got lucky. I don't know. But yeah, I would mind seeing them go at it again. Even though in my eyes, Shayna's definitely ready to be on Raw permanently. Because we still don't really know for sure what her roster status.
I think she's a Raw status. I read that she's a Raw.
But, okay. I just feel like they haven't really made that more apparent because she won a qualifier to be in the Elimination Chamber match. So it wasn't like, oh, I was on the Raw, I got caught with the Raw, I'm going to be in the match. But I digress. It does, I feel like it does still keep Becky legitimate and being, now she's going into her second year of holding the title. So that's like the positive on that end. I just like this, I just want to, you know me, I like storyline tightness. So if we're going to have Becky win, I would rather have been in a more smarter way.
Tom?
I think I have the answer to your question on why she was suddenly booked to be stupid and how they're and cover from this. It's because they have to. I feel like they wanted to. This was one of the ones where they could continue rivalry. There were some others first awkward title changes, but I feel like for the big title changes they wanted, they're just gonna save that for whenever they have an actual crowd at an actual pay-per-view. This was one of those matches where they just say things until they have a crowd to do this for. What I have on this match, I tried to fast forward through it and then it ended up being over, and I didn't feel like rewinding back to it.
Yeah, a lot of the matches are very, that's what I was saying, a lot of them are very short, and very underwhelming. That's why I thought could this really have been a WrestleMania. There's like 3 matches that are over like 10 minutes, I think. Most of them came on the second night. The one match that was over 10 minutes on the first night was the Taker match, I believe. But other than that, a lot of it was under 10 minutes or so. So yeah, it was kind of nuts to see, and I agree. Yeah, they want to do it in front of a crowd, but then there's other titles I would presume that they probably should have done in front of a crowd title changes, but we'll get to that later on. Next match features the Intercontinental Championship, where your Intercontinental champion is Sami Zayn and defending against Daniel Bryan. I believe this is Tom's match.
I saw most of the match. First off, I do have to ask the question, why is Sami Zayn suddenly wearing like army khakis? What's up with that?
I don't know why he wore that. I was wondering why he was wearing that too. I wondered that too when I saw him dressed for the WrestleMania.
That was just his outfit choice for this match. I don't know. Maybe somewhere on the interwebs it might be explained. Maybe he tweeted something. I don't know. But yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
He's an artist. Entertain says.
Sammy's fashion aside, Daniel Bryan cut his hair. This was the first time I saw that. That was neat. It's good to see him. Hobo. That's kind of nice. This was one of the more awkward matches I watched, because like Sammy was still full volume when he was like begging. Oh, dude, we can hear you. You don't need to yell full volume anymore. You don't have a crowd to yell over. So this was another case where not having a crowd was weird, especially when JBL like called him out halfway through the match that he was crying. There was crying, but they exchanged some cool moves. Of course, it did with like 3 guys on the side, Gulak, Navarro. So that was inevitable. So it was that interference that I guess delayed Daniel Bryan off. He jumps Zayn and retains his. So good for him. Good for Sami Zayn.
Tom, I think I might check your mic because you keep cutting in and out as you're talking. But yeah, so what he said, Sami Zayn retained. Welcome Randall as well. A lot of this match is just a lot of Sami Zayn running away from Daniel Bryan. For 2 people who are supposed to be really good wrestlers, we didn't really see much wrestling.
A lot of running, a lot of yelling.
Yes, a lot of running and yelling. I didn't see much wrestling for 2 people who are supposed to be great wrestlers. So, in a match where you don't have, in a scenario where you don't have an audience, you want to showcase that wrestling, don't you? Just to so you have something to focus on, drown out like the lack of audience. But they did not do that. Like Tom was saying, there's a lot of shouting and theatrics for no one being there, kind of thing, you know. So I'd rather have seen wrestling for people who are, you know, but touted as great wrestlers. Delisha?
I totally agree. I don't understand. I would really like to know what it is in the writers' room that they're trying to do with Sammy, because this, like you guys said, he's a great wrestler. He's a great in-ring worker, and Daniel Bryan is not the opponent you need to have Sammy run away from. Like if he was going up against when he was going up against Strowman or some of the other bigger ones, that would have made more sense. But 90% of the audience knows that Sami Zayn can go in the ring when need to, and as far as I know, he's not injured in any capacity. So this could have been a good time to remind everyone of how good a wrestler he is, and then you can say he can still have done those heel tactics, or even just do the running away like maybe once or twice, and then when Daniel's getting back in the ring, then to go back onto him. So I don't understand the right decision to not have him do what he does best.
I think it's all because they're him that he's supposed to be more manager, less wrestler. So he's kind of running away because it's really Nakamura and Cesaro that do most of his heavy lifting.
I mean, I agree that he has been more in a managerial role, but Sometimes you need to remind folks where you came from and still be able to be in the recording. I don't know.
And if you're wondering who that is our fact checker Joe from the rafters, as always, making his return on the Wrestlemania show as well.
Back to the Raptors.
but yeah, I completely agree with what Joe's saying. He's made out to be more of a manager. However, on paper, this is supposed to be this is a WrestleMania caliber match, but it did not play out that way at all.
It's a dream matchup for a lot of people, especially because they're two indie guys, who are just known for their in-ring talent. And then, so when you see Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn, you're like, oh man, it's gonna be a great match. And 90% of the match is Sami running away from Daniel Bryan.
Right.
So it just didn't make for an entertaining factor. Unless this match is gonna be 3 minutes, then we don't need.
I feel like they can do this again at SummerSlam. I feel like they have to.
Probably.
If not, if Daniel Bryan gets the U.S. Championship somehow, then and Sami retains his Intercontinental Championship through then, you can push it to Survivor Series, but that's a long ways away. But who knows what's going to happen with the pay-per-views until then. Our next match is the Triple Threat Tag Team, not Tag Team ladder match featuring the champions Miz and Morrison against the New Day and the Usos. The New Day is represented by Kofi, Miz and Morrison is represented by Morrison, and Usos are represented by an Uso. Jimmy, I believe.
This is
Or Jay.
Could have been either.
It doesn't matter which one it is.
Oh yeah, I guess at this point. One of the twins.
Yeah, and Delicia's covering this match.
But yeah, it was very interesting in beginning of, because I've totally forgotten that this was not going to be a traditional like tag team ladder match. For those who may not have known, Miz had, I believe, fever or showing signs of sickness, so they advised him to not come to the Performance Center. Obviously, what you would want to do in this situation. So, because I remember originally earlier in the week, it was just going to be Morrison just representing Miz and Morrison versus all the tag teams, and then they scaled it down to this triple threat match for the tag team titles, which actually was kind of made it more interesting because you're like, oh cool, you have each person from their team representing to be for the tag titles. It was just it may have been done before, but not recently, so I thought that was pretty cool. And I know Kofi is very known for his, when it comes to ladder matches, for his stunning high flying work. But in this instance, I feel like Jimmy and Morrison could have represented that factor and maybe give Big E a shine for once. I mean, I swear I know Kofi and Big E wouldn't have had a problem with that either, but I guess for viewers' sake, they wanted to go with Kofi. But it would have been cool to see Big E getting that singles push for a little bit, or shine for a little bit, rather than it's usually always Kofi. But for a match that could have went downhill and fast, it surprisingly wound up being, or from what I'm seeing on Twitter, one of the best ones of the night. Because we started out with I don't know if we started out with it, but I just remember Morrison doing this I don't know what to call it other than some parkour move onto Jimmy, who was like up on the ladder between the turnbuckle, I believe. And as I think, as we say with every single match, there's always going to be those big spot matches. As like I just mentioned, Morrison doing his parkour moves off ladders onto other ladders. Kofi, I think he came from the ropes and did a hurricanrana to, I think, Jimmy again. As I was saying, I realized he probably took most of these bumps here off the ladder onto the floor. And again, I think, but the biggest thing that came about is the interesting finish, to where you have, I believe Morrison went up first. Oh, they all set up ladders at the same time, with Jimmy and Kofi setting up the two bigger ladders, and Morrison setting up the smaller ladder but still big one, going up, trying to get the belt. All three of them have their hands on it. They wound up getting the hook or whatever off the belt, off the hook, so they're all holding it at the same time. And I believe Jimmy and Kofi headbutted Morrison, who fell down to the bottom onto a ladder actually, and you see Kofi and Jimmy like holding up I mean I want to call it a hanger even though I know it's not a hanger.
It's a
So
hanger.
it is okay.
Yeah.
Holding up saying, I got titles, I got the titles. You look down, Morrison is actually clutching the titles on the floor. So by default, he has retained the titles for him and Miz. And I think what we also have showed that this is far from over. Between these three teams, they seem to be the main three teams going for titles usually, always, especially around Mania or the big or pay per views. Unless one of them happens to be injured, then you don't see them. But all in all, it was a really good match. Great high spots, and what I love is that though there was no crowd, they kept their energy level up as if the crowd was still there. Like there was no slack in movements. They gave it 110%, which is what you want to see out of performers on your biggest pay per view. So I was glad they were able to keep that energy up throughout the match without the crowd being there, which shows how much one they love the business and two that how professional they are.
So I kind of want to bring it to the point where you were saying why did they showcase Big E as a singles competitor, which he deserves, right? As well as the other Uso. I mean, they could have pulled the twins magic like the Bellas do and rolled one in, rolled one out. They could have done that as well, right? But why not just add somebody, right? Because you want to showcase WrestleMania is like where everybody wants to be and perform, right? So instead of taking just the Miz out, why not put someone in his spot so that Big E's still there and Jay's still there? Hold on, wait, and Jay's still there because we saw the reason why I'm saying that is because when Andrade was pulled out, they put Austin Theory for who knows why. You probably know why, Alicia, because you watched the Raw and SmackDown, and NXT and all that. But why Austin Theory out of nowhere there? I'm sure Joey Mercury's in the background. Bring back Eminem. Hell, put in Melina too as well. Like you could have definitely done that in the ladder match. They could have used anybody to team up with Morrison, so that we could have at least showcased the other Uso as well as Big E kind of thing. Because this is why take people away from WrestleMania. I get it because they don't want to have the virus and all that. And less people, the better, and all that kind of stuff. Yes, but if you're saying all these people are safe and all that, and you're gonna have 3 people in the ring, you're gonna have 5 people in the ring later in the women's match. Why not put all 6 in, kind of thing? I don't know. Tom, any thoughts? You're on mute, or
Not on mute.
okay.
I think technically, if you go by the guideline, I think the guideline is 6 at this point, so it would be over the maximum guideline if they had all 3 tag teams fully there. Like that's why I thought this match didn't have only one person from each group. I thought this was because of the coronavirus and because they didn't want that many people in one ring, especially with ladders. So that's the only thing I can think of, and really, you're just risking safety at this point by having more people. They could have switched in and made it. You're having less people gathered in one place, which is probably just a good idea. That's probably why they split it into 2 nights as well. So they're just being safe about it, which I get. If Joey Mercury was around, I feel like the return of Eminem would be something a little cooler than that. I would hope they would actually want fanfare for that. I wish I had more.
No, but it would have been a one-night thing just for WrestleMania because Miz couldn't be there. But like they did have 6 people in later for the Raw Tag Team Championships with people making run-ins and such. So they did have 6 people there as well. I don't think it had to do with the crowd. I think they just didn't think.
I just don't think you had to.
They didn't have to, but I'm just saying, if WrestleMania is the moment where people are like champions and immortals are made, you should have everyone to like showcase the people, especially people who want chances.
It doesn't feel like the moment though. I think most of the competitors would agree. I don't think it's gonna feel. It's very weird, and I don't think it's going to feel like the moment if you ask any of those competitors.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's not gonna feel like the moment, obviously, because there's no audience and all that and that. But another thing about you saying like them splitting up into 2 nights and all that, it wasn't even split up like that. It was like just whoever's in the match would be there at a certain time. It was like school schedule, like a block schedule. Like period 1, Brock and whatever Drew would be there, and then they'd leave, so that no way would we get spoiled by anybody. That's how they did it. Like so, it was like people showed up for their match, that crew left, next crew came in. That's how they kind of ran it through. So it wouldn't have even been like too many people there either. So I don't know. I just feel like they should have showcased more people because that's what WrestleMania is about. At least try to keep some of the themes still going.
For me, it wasn't really the issue of more or less people. Because dealing with what they had, I like the concept of each team getting selected champion, so to speak. So I just said it just would have been cool for Big E to have his moment because Kofi had kind of had his already. So it just would have been cool to see Big E get more screen time. But then again, for all I know, Big E was like, "I'm staying home," so I don't know.
Yeah, but let's say you were Big E or you were the other Uso, Jay, right? What do you say to them? Oh, hey, you're not gonna go, but these 2 guys are going to represent your tag team, kind of thing. Welcome Sidewalk as well. I addressed your question earlier in the thing, so it's in the first match about the Oscar question. But yeah, like, you know what? Or do they draw a straw maybe? Saying like whoever gets the shortest straw is not going to be in this match. No, I'm serious. Like, how do you tell? I mean, I don't think Vince would care or anything, but like, you know what I mean? It just hurts. Like like you said, you want to see Big E. What are you gonna tell Big E? Like, oh, go home. Like, we want Kofi instead here. Like, you know what I mean? Instead of even creating that tension, like, just bring somebody in. There's tons of NXT people. There's tons. Anybody would kill. Anybody would love to have that spot at WrestleMania. And I know, like we're saying, it's not WrestleMania because there's no audience to but just that moment, you could be like, who knows? Maybe back when the DVD comes out, they'll photo thing an audience in, like I said they should have done with the block images from the video game and stuff like that, with crowd sounds and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like
man, they should have had a applause box like sitcoms.
That's what I said they should have done. I said they should have brought cardboard cutouts, just like the old school wrestling games, and made a playoff on that.
Somebody's
right.
editing that right now and adding it, and then they're gonna.
Yeah. I mean, people do that on YouTube within 5 seconds. So.
They should have the network replays just with random CM Punk chants.
CM Sidewalk says it's just wrestle, no mania. If you can even see there was wrestling, because if you heard our commentary about the match prior to this, wasn't much wrestling, as a lot of it was throughout the night. It was a lot more showiness than wrestling. But that brings us to our next match, more of a grudge match, Kevin Owens against Seth Rollins. And with our Rollins report, we go to the Road Raider, Tom.
Yeah, so, okay, Rollins and KO. I've followed none of this storyline, other than apparently Rollins thinks he's the Messiah, and I'm sure there's a Life of Brian joke that I could make somewhere in here. He's not the Messiah, something, something, something. He is the Messiah. Anyway, he came out in a really interesting robe. I feel like that would have been really cool if this were an actual WrestleMania. His entrance would have been really sweet, but alas, here we are. The first bit doesn't really matter because then Rollins got himself disqualified by smacking KO with the bell, and I was kind of mad because I started fast forwarding and then I realized, oh shit, they're still going. So I realized they restarted the match. So they just restarted as a no disqualification. They started whipping each other for a while with weapons like the ring bell and steel chairs, steel steps. So they started just brawling for a bit. Then Rollins and I believe Owens climbed up on, I believe, the WrestleMania sign and jumped off and put Rollins through the table. That knocked him out for the 3 count. And so KO wins. I assume this is like a decisive storyline ender. And this is not going to be like something that they have to rematch later, but we'll see.
Yeah, Sidewalk says the only thing that mattered to KO jumping off the sign. That was a great moment. We did get somewhat of a WrestleMania moment there, even without anyone there. It was really cool to see him jump off that. And he did pull off that stunner at him being the new Stone Cold in a way, I guess. grabbing the stunner on Rollins.
Can we talk about how dumb his stunner looks compared to Stone Cold's?
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
just so weird.
I'm not a fan. I like he does a great swanton though, or they call it a senton.
Oh
He
yeah,
does
that's pretty sweet.
he does great senton. I love his cannonball. I love his pop up powerbomb. That's one of my favorite moves that he does. But I think he should have kept that as his finisher. So, Delisha, I don't know if you can hear us, but your camera's loading in again. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
Are any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I thought the match was fine. I'm glad they didn't go with the BS disqual DQ finish. I mean, although yeah, they could. I guess you could say it was trying to further a storyline. So I'm glad they didn't go with that. I was like, nope, taking the match, no DQ. And yeah, of course, I'm glad that KO got his WrestleMania moment of literally jumping off the WrestleMania sign onto Rollins. I'm hoping that this is
Someone banging on their
Sorry?
camera. I mean, is someone banging on their?
Oh, that's Sage whacking her tail. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Get back. This told you this mic picks up everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Go, lady.
I lost my train of thought. So yeah, so I'm hoping maybe just put the bookmark on the Owens Rollins because I feel like they've done it so many times and so in some iteration within the last 6 months. I want them both to go in like new directions. I thought I heard a rumor that maybe Stefan might be taking a little bit of a break, maybe. So maybe that's how we'll get a little break from him. But yeah, it was a good match.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite of the night. But like, I also like the ladder match, the 3-way ladder match. That was cool too. But yeah, for a regular match, this is probably one of my favorites of the night. It did good job of showcasing both wrestlers. Not so much as Seth Rollins as much, but he's had his moments. You know, this is more for KO, and I think they did a good job of showcasing him. One of my friends who was watching alongside of me, Alex, he hasn't watched wrestling since like the Austin Rock days. So he came back just to watch WrestleMania because I'm like, oh, there's gonna be no audience. You want to check it out? So he started watching it with me, and from his house. We weren't watching together. We were social distancing. We were actually on PlayStation chat while we were each watching it, and he's like this is so weird, but he thought this was his favorite match of night one, if not all of WrestleMania. I asked him before I went live today, saying like which one was your favorite match. He said this one. He really enjoyed it. So maybe it could have been the no disqualification kind of aspect of it or something, but he really liked this match. That brings us to our next match featuring the Universal Champion Goldberg defending against Braun Strowman, and I believe Tom is covering this match as well.
Right, this match I actually kind of cared about because I like Goldberg a lot. So I did watch the whole thing, and it was very easy to because this was just a power move fest. It's exactly what you expect from Braun Strowman and Goldberg. I think I can imagine in my head how this would have looked if this was Roman Reigns instead of Braun Strowman. This would have just been a literal spear fest, which would have been sweet, but alas, Reigns probably made the smart decision. He's already had several Mania moments, so he doesn't really need another one. So he probably smartly backed away. This was, to me, the moment where we kind of just like missed the train, and it probably comes down to money that they just didn't want to pay Goldberg anymore to have him wait around until it was time for Reigns. But this was not. They missed the train on Strowman like 2-3 years ago, and all his I don't know if he has momentum anymore. If he's still as popular as he once was. He was super popular like 1 or 2 years ago, but he made his silly looking power slam after countering Goldberg's jackhammer and just gave a bunch of power slams. 1, 2, 3, and the big guys are done.
Yeah,
Braun Strowman is your new champ.
Yeah, so that Tom hits the nail on the head right there because apparently Goldberg's contract calls for $1 million a match. So
Sounds about right.
So Vince didn't want to pay that anymore. So he said, "That's it." There was actually a lot of backstage. Actually, there's a shove. I think Goldberg shoved Vince McMahon. What I'm hearing is Goldberg shoved Vince McMahon after the match was over because he did not want to drop the title to Braun Strowman. He wanted to drop the contract said that he'd beat the Fiend at whatever Super Showdown, whatever it was called. crown jewel. I don't know. I always confuse all those Saudi Arabia shows. Whatever that was, when he beat The Fiend, he was supposed to contractually lose to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. As we know, Roman Reigns beat, I think it was leukemia, right? Or lymphoma, one of the two. And has a compromised immune system, so like Tom said, he smartly chose to stay out. He's had his moments. So Goldberg suggested to Vince that, hey, let me hold on to the belt. I don't need to wrestle any pay-per-views. But, I'll hold on and lose it to Roman when all this is said and done. When the virus is gone and we can actually go back to a normal life, I'll drop it. And Vince says, I can't have another, with Brock already being a part-time champion, I can't have my other major title be held out and just, there. And then Goldberg's like, I'll wrestle. He's like, well, it's $1 million a match. He's like, I can't afford to pay that, especially with cutbacks and all this that's going on right now. I'd rather just give it to Braun. Goldberg was very upset about that, pushed Vince, I think, and then that's it. That was contract signed. I don't think he'll be called back again. They left kind of on bad terms. This was very, very, very similar. Has anyone ever gone from WWE? Maybe CM Punk, possibly. But other than that, has anyone ever really, really gone from WWE? Bret Hart came back. Goldberg came back. Brock came back. This was very, very
Punk
similar.
Came back.
Punk came back to backstage, which is a Fox thing. That's why he came back, because it's a Fox thing. He says he won't come back to the WWE. But who knows? What happened? They did show him the promo yesterday during the match. We'll talk about later on in the evening. But this very much reminded me of WrestleMania 10, where Goldberg fought Brock Lesnar for the first time ever at a WrestleMania match. It was just two bulls going at it with just power move over power move, and nothing was exciting about it. And that's very much what it seemed like in this. And I wasn't happy with Braun. I'd rather have had Goldberg. I didn't want Goldberg. I wanted Roman Reigns to win. I'm not like a Roman Reigns guy, but I wanted Goldberg to lose the title. But I didn't want him to lose to Braun. Like Tom said, he had his moment 3 years ago. They missed the boat on him. This is just terrible. Delisha, your thoughts?
Pretty much all along with you guys. It was just like, I'm not a big Goldberg fan, so I wanted him to drop the title anyway. But yeah, it's just one of those quick matches. You're like, okay, cool. But I think this one might have been really lacking the crowd as well, because Goldberg's entrance is all crowd enthusiasm and them chanting Goldberg, and getting the pop of Strowman kicking out of the spear and jackhammer would have probably gotten, I think would have gotten the crowd hype, because the crowd really, I think they really still love Strowman a lot. At least the SmackDown crowd does. So yeah, I think this one really suffered from crowd reaction of kicking out of those big moves, and for Strowman to finally get his first big singles title. It's unfortunate to have to come at the of Roman Reigns having to step down because not wanting to compromise himself. But hey, it was an opportunity. I don't blame him. I guess he doesn't really have that much of a say. But, hopefully they can write around this to somewhat give us some good material and set up for whatever's coming next.
We do have to be clear, though, there was no jackhammer. Because
did he
Roman countered it.
Yeah,
right,
he tried to set up for it, and Roman countered it into a power slam.
I'm so used to his moveset that automatically my mind just went there.
Well, he botched it at one of those crown jewels, one of the Saudi Arabia against Undertaker.
No, I didn't see.
Undertaker. Then he botched it against the Fiend at the other Saudi Arabia show. So there's you damn well know he can't lift Braun Strowman, not anymore at least, because he did do the Big Show very cleanly back in WCW days. So he wasn't gonna lift Braun Strowman. I knew that. If
15, not on steroids, so yeah, he's not lifting him.
He was gonna win by spear or not at all, basically. And as we saw, it was not at all, unfortunately for us people who are not fans of Braun Strowman. But yeah, another thing I had to mention is that I was like, are they gonna escort Goldberg out? Like, there's no one there to protect him from, and they're not gonna be practicing social distancing if they're walking him out. And lo and behold, they walked him out. So there goes your social distancing. Joey Mercury could have been there. Melina could have been there. Instead, we had security guards walking out Goldberg for no reason. That brings us to the final match of night one. Undertaker against AJ Styles. I had no idea this was a Boneyard match till it started. As you guys know, I watched it on Raw and SmackDown. I guess it's on, what is this, Raw, I guess? Or Smack, I don't know, whatever that brand they're on. I watched it on Fast Forward. I thought Undertaker wouldn't show up. I thought it would be, what do you call it, Dead Man Inc. or whatever, American Badass. Because, no, not Big Evil. No, I didn't think any type of Undertaker would show up. I thought it would be, like, American Badass showing up because Undertaker technically retired when he lost to Roman Reigns, even though he fought like John Cena or whoever again afterwards. But whatever it is, like I thought, like because the way they showed him like coming to fight the OC and stuff on the contract signing was very much American Badass kind of thing. So I thought American Badass would show up. But he did show up on a bike, so this wasn't a match. I guess it was a match, but it wasn't really a match. I don't know what you want to call it. It was more like a short film. And it started out with Undertaker's gong going off, a hearse coming in, Druids getting out of the car, and pulling out a casket, opening it, and then it changes to AJ being in it, and his theme goes off with You Don't Want None, which is great. And then you see Undertaker, I guess it's Metallica's theme play. Tom could back me up, I think that's what it was.
Yes, Metallica off of their latest album.
So Metallica was playing as Undertaker rode in on his bike, so that's why I thought it was going to be, American Badass, but, my tweets were going off, Delicia was texting, they're saying Big Evil, so I guess it's Big Evil. I never even heard of Big Evil, I guess, until now. So, yeah. And it was very much a horror, kind of like, I was nervous because when I saw it was a Boneyard match, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be pre-recorded, I had shades of, like, the House of Horrors match that Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt had. I was like, oh god, it's going to be that awful. And it was actually very well done. I enjoyed this. AJ was pretty much calling out Taker, saying, like, you're nothing anymore. You're no dead man. Michelle McCool is the only reason why you come back. She makes you get the paychecks. You can't even hang with me anymore. And then Undertaker finally got, like, back into the match because he was buried. He was dropped into a ditch. And as AJ was going to bury him, lights go on, and Taker's behind AJ. And then that's where the tables turn. He starts chasing AJ around, calling him boy, showing him that he's the alpha, and this is his yard. And basically AJ running away. The rest of the match, basically AJ running away, Taker like hunting him down. It was really cool to see that happen. And he was like kind of not like an Undertaker. He was like his real persona of Mark Calloway, because the whole, she's like, what's my wife's name, and all that kind of stuff. He's like, you can't hang with me, boy. You think I can't hang with you, boy? Like all that kind of stuff, like the way he was acting. There was one point where social distancing became an issue because a lot of druids showed up right next to each other. They could have been wearing masks under those hoods, who knows? But if they were wearing masks, they should be donating those to the hospitals instead of wearing them themselves, as well as the OC being there. Them all teaming up against Taker fighting out of it and still destroying all the druids, but then OC is still involved. They all climb up on top of a roof. Gallows gets kicked off of the roof. Anderson gets a tombstone on the roof, and then AJ gets thrown, chokeslammed off onto the walkway, I guess. Taker comes back down, goes, what's my name? What's my wife's name, boy? Think I can't handle you again? He's like, I'm not done with you yet. And then he brings him over to the ditch, and AJ's like, please don't bury me. Please don't bury me. He's like, no, you put up a good fight. I'm gonna let you be. You earn my respect. And then he still chokeslams him in. Or no, he boots him in. And then he buries him. But for some reason he was like 6 feet down, but then somehow AJ's arm was still out of the dirt as he left, and he rode away. And we had a cool moment when he did his thing where he raises his hands up. Lightning goes off, fire goes off, and then the Taker's symbol comes up, and he rides away into the darkness. Was it a match? I don't think so. It wasn't sanctioned. There was no referee. There was no really beginning or end. It was just a burial. This is a good way to write AJ off for a while. AJ did a great job. Taker did a great job. A lot of people commented right away saying this is how Taker's matches should be from now on, since he can't really wrestle anymore after what we saw happen with him at one of those Saudi shows in Goldberg, as well as what happened with AJ and him at the other Saudi show kind of thing. He can't really wrestle at the same caliber, but he can put on a good show still. Wrestling and putting on a show is different in this case, and he put on a great show. I know Tom's been chomping at the bit to get onto this, but Taker has won the match, if you call it a match. But it was a good show and a good way to end the show because that's how the first night ended. Tom, I'm going to throw it over to you.
I would certainly call it a match because this was the best match of the first night. It was, but I agree 100% with this is how Undertaker's matches need to be from now on. He's very old, he's very injured, he has no stamina, but you know what he can do? He can put on a hell of a show. So he and AJ put on a hell of a show. It was really cool to see the biker gimmick back. That was kind of the Undertaker I grew up with. I came into my wrestling fandom after the Dead Man, so I only knew Big Evil and American Badass. I think the differentiation is Big Evil was when he was a heel, and when he had just generic music rather than Kid Rock. So whatever the differentiation, the biker is his gimmick. But seeing him back in that leather again was really cool. Like you said, social distancing might have been an issue unless there was some production magic in there. But yeah, this was exactly what Undertaker matches need to be at this point. Low effort, high production value, high entertainment value. It was the best match of the night. Both these guys are great.
As I kick this over to Alicia, I ask you, Alicia, to lead into your analysis of this. Could this have been pulled off live in front of an audience?
Yeah, and I said no. This and when we get to the Firefly Funhouse, this is what Hardy had tried to get accomplished when he was there. It's just there was a lot of upstairs interference and why it didn't go off the way it should have went off last time. And I think because of that, had this been live on the stage, I think we probably would have run into that same interference into trying to make it actually I'm not even sure how they wouldn't be able to pull off what they did in like post-production and all that stuff live on the stage at all. Like it, and how do you even begin to have that stuff even set up when you have
I had buried alive matches.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I mean, I know with Boys on This is what basically this was, but in that type of like setting to where they were in an actual graveyard, and like I said, the cinematic view of it, it just wouldn't have been the same if they did this like in a ring. It just would have been like a buried alive match that we've seen time and time again. At least this one, it because we were in a different setting and it was more professionally done. It came off cooler, and so you were more engaged, entertaining for those who liked it. I know there are people who didn't. But yeah, it was good to see Taker not look like a geriatric performer trying to hold on to his glory. So that's what I like, because again, like you, Tom, I came into wrestling when he was the biker Taker, whatever iteration that happened to be at the time. I don't remember the year. So it was really cool to see that, and I think these two just had fun with it. And I love seeing wrestlers like have fun, like really being engaging in what they're doing on camera. So it was really fun to see that. And when you couple that with the short little preview for his documentary coming up later on this year, I think you appreciate this match a whole lot more.
Yeah, I agree. Tom, are you having trouble seeing Delisha? Do you see a box or do you see her?
A box. Whose documentary?
Taker's having one on the WWE Network. The Last Ride.
Yeah. You know those little documentaries they do on like a little spotlight on the wrestler? They did like
right.
first
So
look at that.
it's Taker though. I wasn't sure whether it was Taker or AJ.
No.
Oh
Taker.
yeah, sorry for Taker.
Delisha, if you can try hitting the turn off camera button on the Discord and then turning it back on, see if maybe that'll fix it. I thought it's been buffering for a while, so I don't know.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Because I see everyone on the Discord, but I didn't know that it was.
Can you see yourself though? Because we can't see you. Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
can. Okay. All right. Yeah, we can't see you. on our end. But yeah, so I mean, you could if this doesn't work, maybe try dropping the call and coming back in if you can.
Okay.
But yeah, so this was very entertaining. This concluded the first night of WrestleMania. Where would this have been in terms of if it was only one night? Maybe towards the end, possibly, or something. I don't know, but I'm not sure. I don't know where this would have played, but it was fun to watch. But I don't know if Delisha. I don't know if Delisha. There she is. I don't know if Delisha will hear. Can you hear us now, Delisha?
Mhm.
Okay. You guys, it's a testament to my age now. You guys are talking about the first experience that you guys had with Taker being the American Badass or Big Evil. I know doesn't matter what age you are. It's when you came into wrestling. But I came into wrestling when he was actually in WCW as Mean Mark Calloway. So that's a long, long time ago before he even came to WWE. So I remember that. I used to love him in WCW. All right. Night 2, pre-show match number 1. So let's try to go through this a little bit. It wasn't as entertaining. I think the second night went actually even faster than the first night, except for 3 matches that were exceptionally long. The rest of it was very short. So the first match featured Liv Morgan versus Natalya, who were, I think, last when we saw them, were tag team partners and now fighting each other for no reason. Felicia?
Oh, trust me, this is going to be quick because this was no build-up. No, I don't know why this match was even a thing. This wasn't even a preemptive on Raw. So I can make this quick. Natalya gets Liv into a sharpshooter, counters it, and you get a little reverse pin action going on between the two to where Natalya tries to do a roll-up, and then Liv Morgan counters out of that with her own roll-up pin, and she defeats Natty. That's it.
Nothing much more to say. Tom, anything?
Play sucks. Liv Morgan sucks. Therefore, this match must have sucked. Even if I didn't watch it.
All right, next match featured our NXT champion Rhea Ripley against Charlotte Flair. And
A little bit more meat on this match. Yeah, so this was a match I was very much looking forward to. This is probably the women's match I was looking forward to because you guys know how much I love my NXT, and Rhea has been killing it lately. And this match actually went for a good while. I don't know the full time, but I think it went almost 30 minutes. To where you had Ripley not right out of the gate, but pretty early on, going for her finishing move, the Riptide, but couldn't get the 3 pin. And then after that, it was a cascade of Charlotte going after Rhea's knee or leg, to be more broad. And she kept working that out of the match. I think at one point before she got her into the figure 4. I don't think she got to the figure 8 yet, but into the figure 4, to which Ripley countered out of. And then I think they too had their own little back and forth pinnings going back. And then later on, you would see Ripley trying to get into, I think they call it an inverted cloverleaf submission move, which was actually kind of cool to see because she's like standing up with her in that position, because I don't think that's normally a standing submission.
I think that she does that move a lot, though. That's her move that she's been doing.
Right, that's true. But then later on, as you see, Flair in her Flair magic, so to speak, I don't know, to roll her up into the figure 4, and then also into the figure 8. And because she had been working that leg for all the match, it was too much for Rhea to handle, and she taps and loses her belt to Miss Charlotte Flair, who gets her second NXT title. Cool.
So, Charlotte Super Cena Flair. God, I hate her so much. Like, why? Why does she need to have every single thing? Is she going to win the WWE Championship next? Is she going to beat Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship? I wouldn't be surprised. They gave her every single thing. And why? Because Ric Flair, who I hate just as much. Never liked him ever, because I was a Sting guy. You know what? I hope that Charlotte Flair gets coronavirus, passes it to her father, and while he's flying his plane back to Charlotte with Charlotte in it, it crashes into LeBron James's house. directly into LeBron James. That's what I'm hoping. Rhea Ripley should still be champion. I'm very disappointed. That's all I have to say about that.
Al, I'm glad someone finally said it because Ric Flair sucks.
Sucks!
Awful. He's not entertaining. The woo is dumb. His moveset is awful, except for the figure four. That's all anyone cares about. And he wrestled until he was like 90, and please stop. This is just this is someone who was a really good wrestler but is now just bigger than Super Cena because of her dad. And yeah, this was dumb.
I will give Charlotte a little bit more credit. She's a better wrestler than her dad for sure. It's just that
And Cena as well. I think she's a better wrestler than Cena as well.
that too probably works harder.
Not as charismatic as Cena though.
Oh, definitely not.
I think that's actually probably where I lack my fanship for her, is that she's not a presence I gravitate to. And I do think it actually might be because of her mic skills. She doesn't have that, oh man, this person's talking, I'm gonna listen, whether I hate them or not. But for me, I keep going back and forth on this because I feel like on the business, and I think I kind of get it. Also would have benefited with the crowd because she would have gotten major heat because the fans love Rhea. So that was another spot where, like, dang, really could have used that crowd reaction because they would have, the majority, maybe not all, would have booed her out the building because that's not the finish that they wanted. So that would have been good on Charlotte because she's getting that sweet audience heat. But on the businesses, I can understand why, because I guess you could get whether we like it or not, she is a big household name. You could get her on USA Network on Wednesday to battle those AEW ratings. So I can kind of get that. But on the other hand, here you are again giving the spotlight to the veteran who doesn't quite need it. And I won't say Rhea went out like a chump, but I don't know, it wasn't the best quality finish for a losing face opponent. I don't know. Much like with the Baszler Becky, it was just the way it was portrayed I wasn't a big fan of. So again, I'm gonna watching the next couple of NXTs. I'll have to see how this plays out, but I was kind of hoping they wouldn't have given it to Charlotte to showcase that the NXT talent is good enough on their own right to portray how good they are.
So I actually have a lot more to say about this now. Rhea Ripley was made to look so strong, right? Like she single-handedly won at Survivor Series for her team because after her whole team was gone, I think Bianca Belair was still on her squad at that moment, but like it basically showed like Rhea Ripley winning, like going through every like top star of Raw and SmackDown to win that Survivor Series match. Correct? If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they showed her looking super strong to win that. And Charlotte Flair being one of those people, but I think Charlotte Flair happened to lose because Asuka spit in her eye or something. Maybe that's what it was. Turned on her, spit in her, whatever. But Rhea Ripley's been looking so strong. So for her to lose, I would rather have seen Rhea Ripley like pass out than tap out. That's what I rather would have seen. Like, and you're saying that they bring Charlotte to NXT I understand that, but NXT's like kind of the developmental thing. They could pull it off with Finn Balor because Finn Balor, that's like one person. But now they're going to have your men's division and your women's division. I kind of like, especially one being a champion, like, and Charlotte, who doesn't lose to anybody ever, right? I think she's only lost once in a singles match on a pay-per-view for a title ever in her time, I think, and that was to Bayley. Cleanly, I should say. So yeah, I thought the whole point was to bring her to SmackDown for Fox ratings, right? Now they're gonna move her to NXT. Like, come on, like, what? It's just too. I hate it. I said yesterday that the Flair family is like a tumor that should be excised from wrestling history. Just like they removed that mole from her face, take her out of WWE and her family out of the history. I hate it. I'm so upset Rhea Ripley lost. She it was her time. So upset. Any other thoughts? God, I hate this. So
As
upset
a-
about
As a little piece of how things stand, NXT isn't really seen as a developmental brand as much anymore. The developmental brand's kind of switched over to Evolve, and now NXT is kind of seen as the third brand. So technically NXT should be on equal footing as Raw and SmackDown, but you never know how they're going to actually portray that.
Right, but the whole slogan is "We are next," right? So until that changes, we're gonna have to deal with that being that they say they get the call up from NXT, and that's if you think of any sports, call up is from the minor leagues.
I think it's still. I think the majority does still see it as developmental or not as.
No, I agree with Joe though. Yeah, it's I feel like it's up there. It's so popular now. That,
Oh yeah. No, I'm just saying. From it, I think it still holds that stigma. I mean, it's only been on live TV for a few months. I mean, on network for a few months. USA Network, as in
Right.
network television, not
network
WWE.
television, right?
So I would. So I think it might still has that stigma to it, even though we see it as equal, and it definitely caliber of quality they put out is equal, if not better, in my opinion, to the Raw and SmackDown. Um, so maybe this is their kind of way of trying to showcase how equal it is to them by saying that even your so-called main roster people want to be down there.
That's a valid point. That's a very good point. But why Charlotte? I hate.
Yeah, I was about to say why Charlotte, but
Because they gave her
All the
everything.
titles.
I bet
It's
you if you
also
I bet
gonna
you
be
if you
interesting to see who wins that ladder match on NXT this week for the shot at the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship, because that's going to be interesting to see who wins that and who ends up being like Charlotte's first challenger.
right, it's not gonna matter unless it's John Cena at WrestleMania. It's not gonna matter. All right, we had enough time with Charlotte. Let's go to the next match, which is Aleister Black against Bobby Lashley with Lana in his corner. This is Tom's match.
Well, we've got another time saver here, folks, because this Black came out with his cool music, Lashley came out with his metal music, and with his wife, Lana, quotes. He threw around Aleister Black for a little bit, did some power moves. Black kicked him really hard with the Black Mass, pinned. This show, we move on with our lives.
Yeah, just to say about that, like the one little thing that is that Bobby Lashley I think was going to go for the Dominator, but Lana told him no, go for a spear instead. So he changed his move to finish him, and that's how he hit him with the Black Mask. Which I still think fade to black is a better thing, because like you're knocking him out and they're fading to black. But I don't know. Delisha, any thoughts before we move on?
at least I still like Aleister Black.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. He's not. But I feel like he's kind of passed to the wayside, kind of like I was about to say Homicide again. Name's Ricochet. Ricochet and him have been passed to the wayside. They're big time, but now they're not as much.
At least
Oh, the aura is gone.
What?
Aura isn't quite there with Black anymore, I feel like.
Yeah, I think
Or
it
at
was
least-
really.
At least Aleister, well, this match aside, at least he still gets to cut promos.
Yeah. And he's still married to Zelina Vega.
Being built up.
The next match is another grudge match featuring Otis against Dolph Ziggler. And Ziggler came out with a Sonya Deville. I think, Tom, are you covering this match yet? Yeah, I think a Tom match. Right?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your
Yeah, I
match.
am. Oh shit. All right, time for more time savers, because this was a lot of melodrama that I didn't waste my time with. I thought they were going for an angle where Dolph Ziggler is in a relationship with Sonya Deville, which would have been awkward considering her sexual orientation, which is well known. So it's something betrayal, something Otis got sabotaged, something. So this started out with big guy throwing around little guy. Little guy gets some moves in. There were some distractions by Sonya Deville. Then Mandy Rose came out to distract the distraction. Low blows Ziggler. Then he gets the whatever they feel like calling the worm these days. This was
Caterpillar.
literally just the worm. They kept calling it the caterpillar. Just call it the worm. It's fine. No one cares that much. But yeah, he won with the worm, and we move on.
And they made out. Otis and Mandy made
Yes.
out. That's about
That's
it.
a thing that happened that I probably fast forwarded past.
Delisha, any thoughts?
It was fine, and I don't think they're building up Sonya and Dolph as a couple more of a as an alliance more than that. But this is the first time you've really seen them two like together, so I'm hoping that's what they're doing because to try to put them in a romance thing, which is stupid. Um, but yeah, I didn't really care for this match. I don't because as I put in the chat, I don't really care for the storyline to begin with. I like Otis and I like Heavy Machinery because I think they're a cool, fun, comedic tag team that the fans have like really pushing gotten behind. But like this storyline, I didn't care, so I really wasn't invested in this match. I knew there was gonna be a betrayal of some sort going on, whether it had been Sonya, or it had been Otis's partner Tucker. At some point, you knew just because we all know WWE, you knew there was gonna be a betrayal of some sort going on. So I already knew what to expect. And cool, Mandy Otis. Mandy's the face. Sure, whatever. I don't care for Mandy either, but it was fine. The match was fine.
Yeah.
It got the job done.
Yeah.
Again, one of those matches that uh on a full 1 day WrestleMania card, there shouldn't have been on there. But with the 2 days, it's fine.
The also good thing about Heavy Machines is they're very athletic for big dudes. So if you saw their Elimination Chamber match, it's pretty cool to see what they did there.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
like them.
They're
I just
really
don't like the storyline.
Yeah, not many people did, I don't think. Especially because they blew the whole lesbian love angle with was it Lana and Liv Morgan when it should have been Mandy and Sonya Deville. All right.
Oh, yeah. Don't even acknowledge that.
Next match features two legends, and I guess one of which is a legend killer. Edge against Randy Orton in a last man standing match. What was cool about this and different from other last man standing matches is that the environment, right? It kind of dragged down very slowly, especially with the drawl announcing, the announcing team being very droll about it. But it was cool to see the environment that they use. Because normally when we have a last man standing match, they go backstage, and it's usually through the concession stand, maybe the bathroom, into the audience, and then like to the electrical area where someone's gonna fall into some electrical equipment, and it's gonna fake spark, and then they're gonna get knocked out, or they're gonna get thrown through a table on top, whatever it is. It was cool that since it was the performance center, they went through the gym, the conference room, the offices. I love seeing that. That was really cool. They obviously the weight room was probably, I know Big Time tweeted like, "God, get them out of there because they're gonna hurt themselves." But that was really cool to see them using the gym equipment against each other and the weights and like the pull-up bars and all that. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. The conference room throwing across the table, going through the office and seeing the old posters. Would I have liked to see some older posters? Yes, like from my time. But it was mostly all like newer, things where the oldest were like Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt is actually Bray Wyatt back then from the Wyatt family. Those were like the older posters that you saw, not like Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart, Big Boss Man, none of those, which I would love to have seen there. But that was cool seeing them go through there, all that stuff. Then they went to like the warehouse section and they fought on pallets and they used stuff from the pallets, and it was just a lot of crawling and like stalking more than like fighting and wrestling, but they had their moments at spots. They did play off at each spot they went to, each like area, until they finally got to a giant, the world's biggest ladder that probably if you put it outside it would go to the moon. They had that ladder, which they didn't really use, but it was there, so we know there's a ladder to the moon somewhere in the world. It's in the performance center. They also climbed onto the back of a pickup, and Randy Orton did his DDT, his hanging DDT onto the back of the pickup, which was pretty cool. Then they climbed up on top of the truck, the truck where they keep all the production equipment, and they fought on top of that. Then Orton came back down to get the chairs from the underneath the world's tallest ladder. It would have been cool if he just walked across the ladder back to the truck, but he didn't. And you thought he was gonna hit the concerto to put him away. It was cool that this time you could hear the noise because he was saying like, "This is it for you, friend. Like you have to go back to your family. I'm doing you a favor. Like I'm sending you back to your girls. You need to go back to your girls. Don't put yourself through this anymore." That was cool to hear. Like I liked that you could hear them talking there, and that was very well done. Because these guys have history personally as well. Then it was kind of like bad camera work or bad like editing. As he was going for the concerto, like all of a sudden Edge is right in front of his face, like like right on him. It was like you could kind of see like a what do you call it, like a cut in the filming. You saw a jump cut, I guess you call those. So it was bad editing, and he put him into like a front face lock sleeper, choked him out, which was weird because he was knocked out and he was laying still, and then Edge hit him with a concerto. So the referee's counting, but Edge is like, don't count. Let me, finish this match. Hits him with a concerto. Then, like, Orton comes to life. It's like flailing. I think if you got hit by a concerto, you'd be knocked out. You wouldn't be flailing like that, but he was flailing afterwards. Then the ref did the 1, 2, well, I said 1, 2, 3. He did the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 count, and that was it. Edge is your winner. Was it a very slow match? Yes. Did it go on longer than it should have? Probably. But I did like how they used every aspect of where they went. That was cool. It was a newer look. It was kind of like those old school boiler room kind of matches where they go to the back and fight everywhere else besides the concession stand and the bathroom and the audience and the electrical area. I love how they used everything there. That was cool. We'll go to Tom first and then Delisha. Tom, your thoughts?
So, I did watch the end where Edge did the concerto. Orton set him up, but that was pretty much it. I sped through. I didn't really want this match to exist. I'm not sure if I could bear to watch most of this because I don't want to see Edge put himself in, because I know his injury that's like. So I didn't want to watch this match, to be perfectly honest. And good for Edge for winning, and Edge, for the love of God, please retire.
He's signed
Please
a
be
3-year
done.
contract. 3-year contract, I think.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, Delisha.
Tom, I'm giving you some homework. I want you to watch the Edge special that aired after WrestleMania, and it will answer a lot of your questions. Because actually, again, watching that gives a little bit more perspective on this match as well. I liked it, but as Cal knows, I thought this went way too long. They could have cut like 10 minutes out of this, and it would have been great. The ending, of course, for me was the best, not because it ended, well, partly, but the facial expressions that Edge was going through while before he gave the concerto, I thought that was great storytelling, and I guess almost the ferocity that they were trying to get through, mostly at the end. I really did like that. I don't know. This I don't know if I just feel like it wasn't as I don't know, vicious. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but maybe it didn't need to be with these two. Maybe it for it being drawn out for more storytelling than like a viciousness that we probably get in like a street fight type of match. Probably maybe it worked. But of course I love Edge. I like Orton when he tries, and here he was definitely engaged and involved, which I liked, because if that's not the case, this match doesn't work. But kudos to that. I don't know what type of schedule Edge will be on, but we will see him again. We'll probably see him tonight on Raw to as a little promo or something like that. But it was good. Just went way too long for me.
I wonder if they'll actually shake hands. Like he'll come out like, you were the better man. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. It's probably happening right now, but we'll find out once we get done. All right, next match is your Raw Tag Team Championship match featuring the Street Profits against, oh my God, Angel Garza, I think that is, and Austin Theory, who I have no idea who he is. Delisha might have a theory or an answer, and Zelina Vega in their corner. Go ahead, Delisha.
I have both. Well, it was supposed to be Angel Garza and Andrade, but he is injured. So they, I believe if it was last week or the week before, Zelina Vega, she was like, I'm a great manager. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. I'm a great manager. I know talent when I see it. She's Austin Theory, who is from NXT. Is he more known for UK or just NXT?
No, he's regular NXT, but he just recently came. He's a former Evolve champion.
Okay. But he's pretty solid. You've only seen him for a short period of time on normal, on Wednesday NXT. So they're the new tag team that's going to infiltrate and try to go for the tag team titles against the much beloved Street Profits. It was actually kind of a short tag team match, and well, I guess the other one had to be long because it was a ladder match. But also expected after that. I forgot to say that Edge and Orton match. I believe it's now the second longest WrestleMania match in history. I forget the actual timestamp on it, but
I
I
think it was
heard
like 37 minutes long.
Yeah, I heard that tidbit earlier. I was like, oh, it doesn't surprise me now. But anyway, sorry. So it doesn't. It makes sense that the next match will be shorter or cut for time for that reason. But this one fairly simple, maybe not WrestleMania worthy match. Oh, definitely probably match of the night. To where we have Angel Dawkins. Usually, I think he was taking a lot of the brunt of the hits in this match, and hold on. Sorry.
Bless you.
uh, but I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So we have Angel Dawkins down after he was taken out by I don't even remember anymore. But the biggest thing is Montez Ford coming off the top rope with his now patented frog splash, uh, allowed Dawkins to get the pin, for them to retain their titles. And for me, the biggest pop of this match was, well, this wasn't the pop part, but they went on to attack the Street Profits afterwards, which you wanted to happen in the the Becky and Shayna match, but they wound up attacking the Street Profits afterwards, also giving clue this isn't over. And Zelina also got involved, which prompts Bianca Belair to come out to help out her boys. For those who may not know, she's married to Montez Ford, but she's also an NXT talent. So now I think this might be her call to the other brand. I'm not even gonna say call up anymore because, like we said, NXT is equal to them now. To her call to the other brand to be inserted with the Street Profits. Hopefully, maybe she could definitely fit in with that crowd. And the Street Profits retain. And this is not from the last time we see them going up against Garza and Austin Theory. But it was okay. Like I said, it's not WrestleMania worthy match, but they got the job done.
Speaking of Bianca Belair, I think she's going to be the next competitor against Charlotte Flair for the championship and possibly defeat Charlotte Flair because she's supposed to be the best. Or the EST.
Well, she won't be the next competitor, because like there's a fatal 5-way match, six way. Sorry,
Is she not in it?
No.
Oh, she's gonna be the next competitor against Charlotte Flair because whoever wins that thing is probably not a big name person. Therefore, they're gonna get demolished by Charlotte Flair. So the next actual competitor she's gonna fight is Bianca Belair.
Oh, I'm all for it. If Charlotte also comes to Bianca Belair, you know me, I love her.
That could be a Survivor Series match, possibly. But I guess we'll see. I mean, but this is a very short match, very short and sweet. The frog splash, Bianca Belair spot. What else can you say? Anything, Tom, for this match?
Didn't watch it. Don't know who anyone is. Didn't really care.
Tom doesn't know.
NXT, yeah. So, all right. That brings us to our next match, which is the Fatal 5-Way, which was supposed to be 6-way, but Dana Brooke unfortunately got coronavirus symptoms, I guess, along with Rey Mysterio as well. I think they were both pulled off the card due to that. So had SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley defend against Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Tamina, and Naomi in a Fatal 5-Way elimination match. Felicia, I think you're covering this one as well.
Yeah, this might have been one of the matches of the women's matches I was least looking forward to, mainly because Bayley, once again, isn't really the star of her own championship reign. It's always, maybe from the jump, it always seems to be surrounded by Sasha. And I'm not saying that's Sasha Banks' fault, not at all. It's just the way it's been written. I have not cared for Bayley's championships run. But I started out with them trying to go for the more aggressive competitor in Tamina, or the stronger. She was playing the strong woman role in this match. So each of them had their turn of trying to get her eliminated. Didn't work out, so they all had to pile up on to her together to get her eliminated. And I actually forgot before this match was, even though they gave the rules, I wasn't paying attention. I forgot it was an elimination match. But so that eliminated Tamina to where it's now kind of like a 2-on-2 for a little bit of Lacey and Naomi teaming up against Sasha and Bailey. And there was as Bailey and Lacey had gotten knocked out of the ring for a little bit, you got a team bad reunion for like 5 seconds before Sasha, I think Sasha kicked, no, Tamina kicked Sasha in the face, and then I think Naomi went after. Oh, sorry, I totally misspoke. This is before Tamina got eliminated, and then eliminated, and then now we're back to the 4-on-4, and then I believe it might have been Bailey who eliminated Naomi.
No, it was Sasha.
Sasha who eliminated Naomi. I guess the
With the bank statement.
Thanks, Dave.
the last of the Team Bad reunion going off the grid with there. So that left Banks, Bailey, and Lacey. And throughout the match, Bailey and Sasha were working pretty well together as a team, as they both being former women's tag team champions, the first ever, as they would not remiss to let you know that. But then there was some miscommunication issues to where Bailey kicked Sasha in the face. Even though I think she was going after she might have been going after Lacey. And then vice versa, to where she was going for a forearm to Lacey, and then Lacey ducks, hits Sasha with the woman's right, and then Sasha gets eliminated while Bailey is watching this from the corner of the ring. So they're trying to plant some seeds again of disparity between the two. And then that was my dog again. And then we get the one-on-one between Lacey and Bailey, to where Lacey was kind of having the upper hand for a good part of the last few moments of this match. But lo and behold, Sasha comes to the rescue and hits Lacey with the backstabber and letting Bailey get the win to retain her title. Overall, it was a pretty solid match. But again, I wasn't really as invested as maybe they maybe wanted me to be. But once again, we're sowing the seeds of doubt between Bailey and Sasha, and I don't know how many times we can go through with this of either one of them turning on each other, or them teasing it and then not pulling the trigger on it. So I don't know how going forward, how invested I still am in them too. I do like them. I just don't know how. I don't know. Maybe I need a break from them for a little bit. I just don't. They've teased us with this so many times that it's like, do it or don't.
I'm going to tell you to be prepared for more seeds being sown. Because here's what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now, here on whatever today's date is, April 6th, 2020, that Sasha Banks will win Miss Money in the Bank, become Miss Money in the Bank, and Bailey's gonna be like, okay, yeah, and I don't have to worry, and like this always gonna be Sasha like looking over her shoulder like at Bailey's title, you know, you think she's gonna go after Becky, she's like, Bailey's gonna be like, you gotta go after Becky, you know, blah blah blah, or Charlotte, you know, go after one of them, and like she's always gonna be looking over her shoulder kind of thing and looking at eyeing Bailey's title, because I think that's the one title she hasn't won, right? I think it's the SmackDown's the one that she hasn't won. And then there's gonna be a part where like Bailey gets knocked down, and Sasha's gonna have the briefcase, and she's gonna be looking, and she won't cash in. But then again, it's gonna happen again, and that's when she'll eventually cash in, something like that. I think that's how we're gonna play that out for the coming weeks or months, because the next pay-per-view being Money in the Bank. If that happens, we'll talk about that towards the end of the show. But that's what I see happening. But it was a good match. I enjoyed it. There were some good spots. I'm really starting to like Lacey Evans a little bit more, because she's getting like, it's not much of her like gimmick. I felt she was too gimmicky while in the match. Like, she did a good job playing off her gimmick in the match, but I just got tired of it. Always constantly seeing it throughout the entire match. Now when she's doing more of her like wrestling, I'm starting to like her more. But it was a good match. I enjoyed it. Tom, any thoughts?
My only thoughts are questions. How long has Bailey had that cool new entrance music? Sasha's permanent music, or did they intend for Snoop Dogg to be there singing it?
I think they've had it for Bailey maybe the last 6 months.
About as long as this.
Her haircut.
Pretty much it started right after she turned heel and when she got the title back.
Okay, and Sasha a little bit before that or around the same time. So they've had it for a good part.
That was new music. That was cool. And then I skipped Bailey won and moved on.
But you heard my predictions of what's going to happen. I think that might happen. All right.
Probably.
Brings us to our next match, or can you even call it a match again? The second night in a row, we have a Firefly. Well, a so-called match in quotes, as I say. This is the Firefly Funhouse match featuring John Cena and The Fiend, or was it The Fiend, or was it Bray Wyatt? Was it Husky Harris? Who knows? Was it Eric Bischoff? I don't know.
John Cena.
Or yeah, was it even John Cena? Was it Prototype? I don't know. WWE has been watching AfterMat. How do I know this? Because I've been saying, what makes The Fiend more effective than him draining the life out of his opponent as his opponent comes out with their theme music. So John Cena comes out with the theme music. You know how he always panders to the crowd as a salute and then runs to the ring and slides in? Well, he's like, welcome to WrestleMania. There goes the Firefly Funhouse. So they took my notes on saying, take away from their entrance, because that's the way you draw away from the face, because like they need the crowd and all that. So you interrupt them during their entrance, and that's what Bray Wyatt did. So thank you for taking notes from AfterMat WWE. We're always welcome to give you more. Just let us know. Starting off with Charlotte losing the championship, taking Daniel Bryan off TV, all that great stuff. We have more ideas.
And canceling Edge's contract. Let's add that to the list.
No. I love Edge too much. The only time I ever got emotional in WWE was when Edge relinquished his championship. So yeah, he's not the Undertaker. He could actually compete. And if he's gonna go down swinging, he's gonna go down swinging. Especially if his neck is on that little thing that's holding it together. If his head swings there, that's fine. I'll take it. But yeah, great promo. Bray Wyatt starts out in the Firefly Funhouse. John Cena interrupts that because magically now he's on the Firefly Funhouse show, and he's looking for Bray Wyatt because Bray Wyatt walked through the door. The rabbit, I think it was the rabbit, said he's through that door. As John Cena goes to the door, we are taken through a time tunnel / dimensional rift / I don't know what you want to call it, but we go through his like prototype era when he first debuted against Kurt Angle, through him joining the NWO and all that kind of stuff. But we can't do any of that without the promo Cena cut up to this point, right? In the weeks prior to it. Which I didn't really watch because, as you guys know, I watch everything in fast forward by now. You should know that. But they do show the great promo packages prior to the matches. And when I heard John Cena make that statement, I was like, wait a second. Who is he talking about? Because he said...
What statement?
Yeah, here we go. He goes, I'm paraphrasing here, but he goes, I'm finally going to put that overrated, overvalued, like, good for nothing, whatever... superstar, overhyped, whatever. He said all these over, like blown terms for a wrestler, referring to Bray Wyatt, you know?
Or was he? Because
that's what I thought when I heard that, right? He's I'm gonna finally put them to rest, dead and buried and gone, or whatever he said, something like that. Like that, he was gonna bury Bray Wyatt for good because he's worthless. He's overhyped and all that kind of stuff. So it was great promo that they played prior to that, and he's been saying that stuff about, Husky Harris and all that. I think he might even use his real name and all that. Rotunda, I forgot what his first real name is, but I think he did all that kind of, even he's mentioning IRS and all that kind of stuff. Like, he's been cutting great promos, and people are like, they even took some of the promos off the WWE tweet because they're like, oh, did he really mean to say that? Maybe he went too far, just to plant those seeds in your head. But that they left that one part where he says, I'm gonna put an end to that overhyped, whatever, overvalued, overrated superstar for good. Whatever he said. Something like that. So we go through that whole time shift, dimensional analysis, dimensional rifts, all that kind of stuff going on. We see NWO Cena. We see like Saturday Night Main Event Cena, Prototype, First Debut Cena, Hustle, Loyalty, Respect Cena, all these different kind of Cenas. And I'm surprised they didn't have like the movie star Cena kind of thing where like he's standing on the red carpet. They kind of did show flashes of that. They showed CM Punk flashes. They showed all these great moments, and it all twirled into a moment where like he's face to face with Bray Wyatt, and he's saying like, oh, like he cut a great Thugonomics promo on him, rapping, calling him Husky Harris and all that. It was so awesome to see, like Cena at his best. You know, on the mic, on the promo. Finally, he brings him into the ring, like him looking around like he's now in his wrestling gear of what he's supposed to be wrestling in WrestleMania, and the Fiend is behind him. Because there's a point where he's going for... Bray Wyatt actually goes for the Sister Abigail, and he can't hit it. Because Cena counters out of it because he's Super Cena. And they actually make a point about that in the video as well, the package. Finally, we're back in the ring, and the lights are all out except for like a spotlight, I believe it is. I definitely got to watch it again because it was fantastic. And Cena is looking in his wrestling gear around, and the Fiend is actually behind him now. And he turns around into a mandible claw, Sister Abigail, 1, 2, 3. And while they're saying that, they play over the message of Cena saying, we're finally gonna put that overrated, overhyped, overvalued person to rest, superstar to rest, as the Fiend is pinning Cena. They play that part of his promo again over in like a dream voice sequence, like echo, and it's so artistic, so well done. It's pretty much what a lot of fans think about Cena, but you know, you as much as you hate Cena, I have to respect what he's done for the business. I don't want to see him win a title ever again. As much as I hate Ric Flair, at least Ric Flair kind of did it in WCW, like as their main guy, and his championships were like actual championship reigns, not like how it is nowadays where people win for like a month, lose it, and then win it back for another 2 months, lose it, win it back for another, and then they just artificially drive up numbers. Back then, at least when Ric Flair won those championships, they were like reigns, like how Bruno Sammartino had the longest ever total combined reign. It was only over 2 championship reigns, I think. But stuff like that, those were like when championships mattered. In my opinion, I think that was, you know. So seeing Cena do all that, and then them kind of burying him, is that it for Cena? Possibly. This is the last WrestleMania? Possibly. I doubt it, but it's a cool way to put him away, especially the way how they played that voiceover during that moment. So the Fiend ends up winning, and Cena is dead and gone according to his own promo. Delisha, your thoughts?
I had pretty much a lot of the same sentiments that you had. I really enjoyed this match. I remember both of us at the beginning were like, "What is this?" And then as it slowly started to unfold, all the different Cena characters, and then even almost showcasing what a Cena heel would be like. I thought that was pretty cool. It's and I think again going back to wrestlers having fun or being engaged, I think these two really enjoyed what they were doing with this. Because I mean, you guys might not know, but John Cena, like off camera, like when he's like doing like regular shoots or press junkets, he's actually a really like cool, relaxed, like I guess funny, weird kind of dude. So this is almost kind of right up his alley, especially the skit he was doing when he was in the cage with the like the weight. What did they call him?
A muscle man,
Yeah.
Cena or whatever. Yeah, he's like, oh, that's so funny.
If you've seen those, oh my gosh, I forget the name of it. Where it was about a couple years ago, where the wrestlers were doing like these weird wrestling skits.
Southpaw.
Oh yeah, Southpaw, like wrestling or something like that. This is like almost again like right up their alley of them just having fun, like I guess in a way kind of like breaking that fourth wall of like wrestling, and like you said with that voiceover at the end of when he did that initial, you were like, what? No one thinks Bray's overused, overhyped, or whatever. But again, to have that callback at the end, to where it's like, no, you were the overplayed, the overhyped one, and you were the reason why I couldn't get over, not with the fans, with Vince or the higher ups or with the writers, to get myself over, to be the legit when I was Bray Wyatt or so the right person won. I don't even like. Is there a winner? Is there a loser? Um, but this was I was going back over with someone else on Twitter that the layered storytelling in the Fire Funhouse, I think some of it went over a lot of people's head, especially if you don't know John Cena's wrestling history or even Bray's wrestling history. It might have gone like over a lot of people's head. But the layered storytelling that they were putting in this um in this event, like you said, you can't really call it a match. It was great.
So before I go to Tom about his opinion, I'm gonna ask him the same question I asked Alicia leading about the Undertaker match. Could this have worked live, Tom?
Fine live. As
Like in front of in front of a crowd, in front of 150 million people that are there in the stadium.
Not in the same way. It would have had they would have had to modify it in a way that you see like how Goldberg does his entrance where you start in the backstage area. I feel like you'd have to start it where Cena's coming out from in like the backstage and he's like magically transported over to the Firefly Funhouse. You'd have to do something like that. Uh, but yeah, I don't think it would work nearly as well unless you either did that or you like cut the lights off. But this match was exactly what it needed to be to not become something weird and boring. Which it would have been if this was a standard WrestleMania match. It would have been Wyatt and Cena fighting and Cena, the Fiend taking down Cena in some normal Fiend way. But this was fun as hell. This and the Undertaker match are exactly what this WrestleMania needed to be. Super produced, super strange thing. It was like you said, it's barely a match. It might be Cena's last. If it is, if with WWE, so you know Cena's gonna fight again, but it's probably gonna be a while. Cena's a busy guy. He's actually starting to book acting gigs. He's actually a pretty damn good actor. So he's probably gonna be working a lot more. It was really fun. I think Cena is probably the one guy in WWE, other than The Rock, who is extremely self-aware. He's extremely self-aware about what he is, what his career has been, what his character is like, and he owns it. And that was the best part about this match is this was John Cena max level owning it. Owning exactly what he is, what he's been, and that's the talent of John Cena right there. That's his charisma really coming out because he's so self-aware that he can expertly make fun of himself while also being extremely self-referential. It was gold. Everything about this was gold. Keeping the Fiend all the way till the end, holding him back, that was great. And Fiend takes him down with the voiceover. I'm pretty sure they planned that well in advance. That was probably either Wyatt or Cena coming up with that because none of this WWE storytelling would be creative enough to think of on their own. This had to be Cena Bray making this up and probably Bray directing it. I feel like it was great.
So I have an idea on how it could work, and since I know WWE watches this show, I'm going to tell them for future reference, they would have had Cena come out like normally, and then they cut the power, like I said, and then it goes to the TV, like, all the lights go out, and it goes to the TV, and now he's in the Firefly Funhouse because it's pre-recorded, right? Then when the lights cut back on in the ring, it's like Cena and Bray Wyatt there, like Cena and Bray Wyatt, in a, whatever outfit they need to be in, because they could have people in black underneath the ring, like, how they do Broadway quick changes and stuff like that. They could have that as the next, like, as it flashes through the dimensional rift or whatever you want to call it, or time, and it goes black again and it goes back on the screen. That's when they could have the costume changes and all that while that's happening. And then finally at the end, like, through all those every time they show a segment in the ring, that's after a costume change that they could have done underneath the ring or in some area, because it's massive when WrestleMania is happening, so there's a lot of things that are going on, so you could have that definitely happen, quick changes in costumes. Bray Wyatt would only have to make like 1 or 2 changes because he's going to go from his Bray Wyatt attire to his Fiend attire, so it wouldn't be that much of a change. So at the end, the final curtain up or light on would be the black spotlight with Cena there and the Fiend there. It's just how they play the voiceover would be the only problem. That's why it's good that it wasn't live, but that's how they could have pulled it off live with lights off, lights on, like you were saying. Some of it on the Titantron, or what you're gonna call it, Jumbotron, or the insanely expensive Geratron 5000, whatever you want to call it. Have it on there. Lights go out, costume changes, and such like that. That's the only way I can see it happening live.
It'd probably be easier since Cena had to have hairstyle changes and Wyatt did have to do 3 times. It would probably be best to like transport them and keep the Firefly Funhouse as like this dimensional thing that happens on the video screen, and at the end sort of transport them back to the ring. You could work it like that as well.
Well, Cena's hairstyle never changed. Not in the ring segments, because those are all him with his long hair. No matter what era he played, he was always having his long hair. It was never a haircut. The ones when he came as like the prototype, he still had the long hair.
You would also have to basically set up changing booths. It'd be really awkward, and it'd be I don't think it's as necessary to have live events during all those.
Right, but
spaces.
For Cena, it was just taking the jorts off. He could have the prototype trunks underneath it. Everything else, he had shirts and jerseys above that. It's just putting a jersey on and off. That's it. It was never different for him.
Wyatt did have to do a full change, because I did like the Muscle Man dance bit.
Yeah, yes, but that could have been on the that was the Titantron scene with the Saturday Night Main Event with the thing. That would have been not live. So the only change Wyatt would have to make is from Bray Wyatt to the Fiend, which they've done, like, on Raw. So very very possible to do at WrestleMania. I think I'm just saying it could have been done. I think live, and that was the only way they could have done it. Difficult.
Totally, but you could work around it with lights.
Yeah. All right. That brings us to our next and final match of this monstrous card over 2 nights, featuring the WWE Champion Brock Lesnar against the #1 contender, the Royal Rumble winner, Drew McIntyre. Now, was it a main event for a Royal Rumble? For a WrestleMania? No. Was it a main event for anything? Probably not. Because all that we saw was a, what do you call it? What's his move? Now I can't even think of his move. The Claymore. Brock kick out, and like 3 or 4 F5s, Drew kicking out, 3 more Claymores. Well, we saw 1 suplex. Don't forget, we saw 1 German suplex, I think, in there. And then 3 more Claymores, and Drew McIntyre winning. That was the entirety of the match. Could this have played out to both of you guys as a live match? No, not could this have. We know it could be played out, but do you think this is how it would have played out in front of the millions of fans out there in the live stadium? You think this is how the match would have went, or would we have had a real long drawn out match? Not long, but an actual match. Because this was 3 total moves, I think. 3 total. Well, there were some shoulder butts, but let's just say 3 significant moves, done over and over. Would this have played out the same way in front of a live audience?
Can I jump in there? No.
No.
Well, yes. I think it would have played out almost exactly the same, but they would have had a lot more fanfare at the beginning. I think it still would have been like a really quick 3 or 4 moves, because Brock Lesnar doesn't feel like putting in that much effort, not even at WrestleMania. Not going to do these long matches, and they kind of wanted to just end it. But there would probably be a lot of fanfare. There'd be a lot of theatrics at the beginning with those 2 just kind of doing like alpha moves towards each other, or playing towards the crowd. There would be a lot more fanfare going on. I think it would play out similarly moveset wise, but they would just be acting a little bit differently.
I think this match would have gone a good 11 minutes had it been live.
Or be about 3 minutes of actual wrestling.
I don't know. I think there would have been more. I don't know, but what do you think, Alicia?
I do think pretty much it would have went a lot along the same beats. Maybe a little bit longer, because they would have that crowd energy to feed off of for like Brock to like either mock them and then Drew to like be their champion, so to speak. Or it just would have lasted longer of Drew's celebration. Either one of the two, either been a little bit slightly longer match time or just a longer celebration time for him to embrace the fans and maybe like do some high fives, something like
The
that. So,
Kofi Mania.
and then the big, hold up the belt at the beginning, top of the ramp, while the pyro goes up and all that stuff. So,
And I think if anybody deserved this title change is him, but in front of a live audience. Of all the people where the titles would have changed, I think in a live audience, I think Drew McIntyre deserved it the most, especially because the promo package they played about him being a disappointment after Vince saying this is the future of the WWE and him being a disappointment. I feel like this was the one person that deserved the fanfare that should have gotten it in front of a live audience of 100,000 people, whatever they say it usually is. I think he deserved the most.
yeah, I think along those lines, a lot of the other wrestling pundits thought that too. They thought that Brock was going to go over so that they can save that moment for when the crowd was back, but they're like, nope,
Yep.
this is the way we wrote it at the beginning. We're going to play it out the way we wrote it. But
All right, before we get to the backstage drama, I did fail to mention that there was another major title change twice over. The 24/7 7-Eleven European Hardcore Championship. R-Truth lost to Mojo Rawley, and now Gronkowski is beat Mojo Rawley, so he's now your 24/7 champion. Back to this match. So the backstage drama, as we know that we saw that Vince McMahon got into a scuffle with Goldberg because Goldberg didn't want to drop the title. Same much to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar did not want to wrestle in front of nobody. He gets a lot of his pay from the audience because of T-shirt sales, as well as I think he gets part of the gate or something. That's part of his contract. So him fighting and especially dropping the championship in front of nobody, he was very upset with that and did not want to go through that. He didn't mind losing to Drew McIntyre. He had no problem with that. It was just losing to in front of nobody was what he had a problem with. And he said he wanted to hold on to the championship and maybe lose it in front of, like you guys are saying, in front of an audience. That's how you want to lose it. But once again, like with contracts coming to an end and such, McMahon's like, I'm not going to pay you guys anymore. And I think they had to be escorted out by police, and he got fired on the spot as well, from what I'm hearing. So that is pretty big news coming about Goldberg. And I can see Goldberg and Brock, maybe not coming back, but money always talks eventually because Vince is going to want that big Saudi paycheck, and those Saudis always want Brock and Goldberg there. So. I don't know. That was huge though. Like I'm gonna miss Brock if he's gone. Like Brock, you guys know I've always been ever since like day one when Brock came back and he won. I was so happy, and like people are complaining, oh my god, we're never gonna see the championship. I'm like, hey, that harkens back to the times of old when I watched wrestling when the title was only defended once every big 4 pay-per-view kind of thing. So I love that. That's my old school wrestling. I love that. I don't like seeing the title change every 5 minutes kind of thing. And a person being a 17-time champion. Like, Truth is now like the 48-time 24/7 champion. Like, it's so ridiculous. I know that's not like a real title. We know that. But you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that. We're like seen as like a 16 or 14-time champion, and Triple H is a 19-time. Whatever it is, it's just ridiculous. I like when the people were like 2 or 3 or 5-time at most champion, and that's when the title was prestigious, and they stuck with them for a while, and they had a long tenure. The last time we had a tenure like that was, I can't even tell you. Was it like AJ Styles, maybe, possibly? I don't know.
Trying to agree with you on a lot of parts there. Lesnar, as much as I kind of disliked him being part-time at times, it did get a little bit grating, but Lesnar is an event. Lesnar, more than anyone, he's been able to, even though he's been defeated several times, defeating Brock Lesnar was an event, it was an accomplishment, and like you said, Cal, more than anything, this sucks for Drew, because this was his moment. This was his moment. He was finally ascend after being back from NXT for like 2 years, the hot run he had in NXT, and he's finally back. He's this top level superstar now. His moveset is much stronger. His charisma is much stronger. He's finally going to ascend to the top, and he wins in front of nobody. that sucks for him. It sucks for Lesnar because the crowd always feeds off Lesnar losing, and seeing Lesnar go to these pay-per-view matches to see Brock Lesnar because they want to see him lose, because it's a special occasion when he shows up and when he loses. If he wins, cool. You say you saw Brock Lesnar, but if he loses, like he does sometimes at WrestleMania, it means something. It really means something to beat Brock Lesnar, and more than any more than anything else, this sucked. This really sucked to watch for Drew McIntyre.
One thing also I want to say is he did get a moment, Drew, at Royal Rumble, which is another big time. But when he actually eliminated Brock Lesnar, you saw how the fans pop. Like you said, they love watching Brock lose. The fans popped when he eliminated Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar, remember, he came in one and threw out every single person, including Keith Lee, Braun Strowman, all those guys. Like, so when Drew McIntyre eliminated him, the fans went crazy. And I do, like I've been saying, like you said, they Drew deserves that moment. And I think Brock, as selfish as he is about his pay and all that, he saw that too, because he said, "I didn't want to lose the belt in front of nobody." Because what I heard about the backstage thing about one of the Raw segments was that when Drew knocked Brock out, Brock told him, "Oh, pick up the belt," and like wave it around. Like he was actually like building up Drew, like coaching him to like be more of a star. And he's like hold the belt over me. I think he like whispered that to before he got Claymored, or maybe after he got Claymored, he said that to Drew, like hold the belt up over me. And like, when would you ever expect Brock to say that? Like, probably never in my life I would have thought Brock to be that unselfish.
Well, I feel like Brock, he seems pretty selfish, but it's sort of the thing where he will hate you until he respects you. But when he respects you, that's something on a completely different level. And I feel like I think Daniel Bryan might have had it, Roman might have had it. There are a few people I think in Brock respects, and I think Drew's story might have earned Brock's respect here.
Yeah, and it's really sad because of what the promo package they put. Welcome Goro as well. WrestleMania is dead. It couldn't sell a single seat. Yeah, I feel like Drew really, that whole promo really told his story very well. And I feel like even watching his, like, I know they show like some of his stuff on Twitter. Like I think Big Time retweets some of the stuff he puts, and maybe Delisha might too. His like when he was injured and away, like he showed his like videos, one-on-one selfie videos of him talking. But yeah, it was just terrible. I don't know. Like we had I don't know. It meant so much to him. I feel like he didn't get his moment when he should have. Delisha, any last thoughts before we go to finishers?
I mean, yeah, it was fine. I'm not the biggest of Brock Lesnar fans like you guys are. But yeah, I do kind of, in a way, agree with Brock that like, I'm gonna drop the title to no one, to a guy that really deserved that crowd reaction. But it is what it is. The WWE still, as a business, needs to move forward with what they want to put forward. WrestleMania isn't the end for them. It's just a turn of a new chapter or a new season, so to speak. You can't help that there was no crowd. It's not because they kicked everybody out. It's because there's a pandemic going on that's out of their control. So. In a way, it can be seen as bratty, but on the other hand, I do kind of get it. But all in all, the match went on as written, and we have to accept that and just move on into the new dawn.
All right, we've been covering this pretty thoroughly, so we're gonna go on to what we finally get to our finishers. So I want to preface this first by saying, let's just look at it as a show. We're not gonna, what we are going through happened and is happening currently, so we can't really use the lack of fans as a thing. We made our points that like it would be great to see like Drew and stuff, and like other people like Baron Corbin and stuff like who react off fans. we understand that. We've put that out there. But let's say when we're talking about our our high point, our low point, let's just talk about and our overall grade as just the show as itself, as if you're just watching the show. And I'm gonna go to actually Joe first because he's been sitting there patiently in the rafters. If he can give us our low point, his high point, and his overall grade.
For the low point and high points for me, it's gonna be two parters since it was 2 nights, and I feel like I can't really just choose like one match from one show because there's like two real standout matches on both nights. So my high point for night number 1 is going to be the Boneyard match. My low point for night number 1 is the Universal Championship match. The biggest reason why that's my low point is because there was like really zero build at it. It was of course it was being built up as Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, and you figured, well, Goldberg's dropping the title to Reigns, and then unfortunately because of what's going on in the world, Roman had to pull out for his own well-being, and they plugged Braun Strowman in, but they didn't really give us any like reason in kayfabe as to why Roman got pulled out and why Braun Strowman's now in there. And then it's like, and the match wasn't really much. It was just spear, power slam. So then my high point for night number 2 is the Firefly Funhouse match, because like the Boneyard match, this is something that you really couldn't do in front of a live crowd. I mean, I feel like if they did these matches with a live crowd, it probably would have still been pre-recorded, and then they just would have shown it and then they just would have had everybody watching the Tron at the stadium. And my low point for night number 2, and once again because no build, Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. Again, the main reason I said that is because there's a lack of build. They didn't really give us a reason why these two are fighting. This could have easily just been a random match on Raw. Although I did like the fact that they're planting the seeds of dissension between Bobby and Lana. And my overall grade for both nights is a solid B. They did a good job with what they had, with considering the situation, and the stars managed to put in their best efforts to make as good of a show as possible.
All right, I'm gonna go over to Tom now. Same thing: low point, high point, overall grade.
I'm gonna do a dual high point. It's the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match. Those two were the stars of the show because of this situation, and probably would be the talk of the show even without this situation if it were still live, because they both would have just been pre-recorded, or just they would still be great gimmicky matches, but produced extremely well. So those two were the high points. The low points, filler. The filler is perfectly acceptable in a WrestleMania where people have been sitting there for 7 hours because they really need a break after a while, and you really need those emotional breaks, but you don't really need that with a pre-recorded show. Which brings me to the grades. I kind of give it 2 grades, since you're telling me to grade this as a show. So I'm going to grade this as a show. If you watch it from beginning to end and watch every single minute of this, I would give it, even the 2 great moments can't highlight how awkward it is, how weird it was to watch, and how boring some of the matches were. I assume I had to skip through half of it. But if you watch it how I watched it, which was I think I spent maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours tops watching this almost 6 hours of content, I think. Something like this. It was great, and I would give it an A. if you just skip to the important bits and watch the full matches of certain matches, I think this is a great show. If you go back and watch the in the form that it's supposed to be watched in, which is pre-recorded. If I was watching this live, I would be bored out of my mind.
So not the Snyder cut.
Yeah, not the Snyder cut.
All right, Delisha, low point, high point, or well grade?
We're pretty much all simpatico. Because my high point was gonna be the cinematography of. I was gonna cheat and do the cinematography of the Boneyard and Firefly. What? That's a tongue twister. Mainly for all the reasons that were said before, and because I feel like WWE learned from their mistake with that Bray match in the past with Orton, and with the Matt Hardy match as well. I think they learned their mistakes from that, and I feel like they gave their performers more creative control, especially more in that Bray Cena match. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm just guessing because I feel like that's something that Bray and Cena would have come up with. And to pull that off and to have the trust to do something different, that's the high point for me. And the low point, it has to be that Alistair and Bobby Lashley match, for the reasons Joe said, but also because they actually had time to build that up and they chose not to. They had the time and they didn't do it, so that's just laziness. And overall grade for as a show, I'm just gonna give it an average C. There was too much filler. I've been saying this, I think, since we started AfterMat. They need to trim the fat of WrestleMania. I understand that you want everyone to get paid or get their moment on the camera for WrestleMania, but they gotta earn it. Trim the fat, keep it to 4-5 hours. Start it earlier if you have to, because it's tiresome to get through. And it's not just WrestleMania anymore. It's a full-on weekend. There's Takeover. There's the Hall of Famer, and if you've been there all week, you're probably exhausted by that Sunday night. And I think for the good of your fans, trim the fat and just put on a good show. That's my rant. And I want to show the poll. I mean, the result of that poll we did earlier.
Oh yeah, so I can't bring it up on the screen.
No, I have it in front of me.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to do it now?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, so earlier on the Kingslaying Network Twitter account, we asked what match did the fans prefer. Was it the Boneyard match or was it the Firefly Funhouse? And I was a little more lopsided than I thought. I thought it'd be more even. So thanks for proving me wrong, guys. No, with 64% of the votes was the Boneyard match. And if you don't believe me, you can just go to the tweet and look for yourselves. Or I could just like bring it up this way. But there it is. Boneyard wins with the majority of the votes. That's what you guys preferred. Yeah, I preferred Fire Funhouse for the cinematography and the layered storylines, and the Boneyard match for the funness of nostalgia. Okay, go ahead.
For me, I would have to say the low point. I mean, sorry, we've all been in high point first, but I'm gonna go with low point first. I don't want to do this because all right, so I'm gonna say it's kind of like a asterisk one, but because we said we're not gonna involve the whole situation and all that, but with Drew McIntyre not getting his due right with the audience, that's for me it was low because how much I think for me like last year I said the moment of WrestleMania was watching Kofi's son celebrate with his son and how much that meant to him, to the audience, and his son holding up the championship to his audience, to the crowd. Like that meant so much to me and to like Kofi and all that, and we couldn't have that for Drew. But I can't really say that because we said that don't use the audience. Or I said don't use the whole audience factor. So if I can't say that as my low point, but I just know I'm really hurt by that. But it'd have to be.
The thing is COVID-19 hit
Yeah.
your point.
It would have to be Charlotte winning or Goldberg losing. One of those two. That was a low point. For high point, it's 100% the Firefly Funhouse match. I think it was the best part of the evening for me. I wasn't really a fan of the Boneyard match. I thought it was cool, but I wasn't really a fan of it. As much as I love AJ, I don't know. It was cool. It was up there, though. It was definitely up there, but I definitely was a much bigger fan of the Firefly Funhouse, especially because them playing that little promo over at the end when they're pinning John Cena. That was great. That was very artistic. I enjoyed that. Overall grade, I'm going to give it a solid C as well. Like, if I'm judging it as I'm watching it from start to finish, 7 hours, 7.5 hours, whatever it is, 6.5 hours, it's a C. So with that said, guys, that we covered WrestleMania 36. Not the normal WrestleMania that we're used to seeing, but we got through it. So I want to thank Tom for joining us once again. We'll probably see him. He's going to go into the darkness, fade to the darkness again, and we'll see him again maybe next WrestleMania. But before we leave him, Tom, where can we find you, and what have you been up to? Anything coming out?
In hell.
No promo, nothing to plug.
Rest in peace.
Okay. He's got nothing to plug. But you can find him on Twitter at RoadRaider3, right? That's right, correct? At RoadRaider3 on Twitter. And on Zed Reviews, he's in the chat. He's in the links, so make sure you check out Zed Reviews on YouTube. All right, Delisha?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Delisha Renee. And you can also find me getting a double dose of us this Thursday, as we are pulling in our previously postponed, post-scheduled after talk, where we will be going over some of the, what we're calling it our color commentary. So where we're going over some highlights and some highs and lows of people of color in the WWE and how they've been portrayed and whether or not it's getting better or worse. I don't know. We'll see at the end. But you can catch us, me, Cal, and Nicole on Thursday at our regular schedule at 7:30
Eastern, yep.
Yep. We'll look for a tweet from me coming. If not later tonight, then tomorrow. You can look for it. And then hope to see you guys there on Thursday, just talking wrestling as in the more long before.
Yep. As for us here on AfterMat, as you can see, scheduled above us is Money in the Bank pay-per-view on May 10th, happening supposedly in Boston, but Baltimore. But they do have a lockdown, so they're not. I don't think it's going to happen. But they did schedule it to for the pay-per-view to happen. So maybe it might happen at the Performance Center again. We don't know. So stay tuned for WWE news, because as soon as WWE posts when they're doing it, they're saying 5/10. So May 10th. So that means we'll be live the day after, May 11th, if they do it. So we're not sure what's going to happen, in the world's ever changing. So hopefully we'll see what happens. But that is the next time you should see AfterMat, is after Money in the Bank. As for me, like Delisha said, I'll be there on After Talk this Thursday. And then I'm actually returning to streaming on Friday, hopefully, with the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake. But we don't know if that's going to happen, because, they've already sent out emails saying that people might not get it on time due to the COVID-19. So if I'm not there on Friday with it, I'll be there Monday if I get it on Monday. I'll be streaming every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern around then. So whenever I get it, it'll be one of those days that I stream. Hopefully this Friday, but if not, it'll be Monday. If not Monday, then Wednesday. If not Wednesday, then Friday. We'll see. But it's going to be one of those 3 days. But if we do have wrestling AfterMat or something that day, we will be preempting. And actually, I might have lied to you, because the next time will see us is before Money in the Bank, because we'll be doing our AfterMat award special, season 3 special. So it's either going to be, I sent out the categories this year. We're having some new categories, so that it's either going to be April 20th or April 27th that you'll see us once I get the ballots and all that. That's when we'll be doing our AfterMat season 3 special. But that's pretty much it. So once again, thank you to Tom for joining us. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to Delisha. And I'm your host of the Kingslayer. The people, not the Kingslayer, not on this show. I'm the People's Champ on this show. The People's Champ, Cal, on the show, here on the Kingslayer Network. But as always, guys, take care of yourself. Be safe. Social distance. Wash your hands. Wash yourself. And, help people. Be nice to each other, because that's really important nowadays. Don't take things for granted either. Remember, keep slamming the haters to be the champion of your dreams. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun